Hi everybody, Future Ghoul here. This was recorded before the full set list dropped on Monday night in Australia time. Meant to get this up on Sunday, was tired, slept in, and assumed I could get it up on Monday night, only for the full set list to drop, and then I needed to live react to that and then also take care of some work stuff. So instead, it's going up afterwards. Enjoy! Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the Gran Pulse FFTCG podcast. As always, I'm Ghoul02, joined by my co-host Bloodfist. How you doing today, Rob?
Um, Not doing too particularly shabby. Like I actually had a true day off yesterday where I did absolutely nothing at all. So in theory, I'm well rested, but I had my last LQ, so I'm a little bit frazzled by that. But we can quickly, briefly discuss that. I think we can talk first about some drafting.
Say, you might be a little bit warmed up, but I am not. So let's get our pack one, pick one. I'm going to use the All-Star Cube again today. It's just a little bit easier than the alternative. Let's see what we've got today. Yuffie, Kuja, Ur-Dragon King, Philo, Sage, the Emperor, Kieran, Barnabas, Ritz, Adele, Red Mage, and Aerith.
So important to note, this is the new Kieran that actually cares about four different elements of like four different cards of cost four of different elements. So I am so uninspired by this pack.
I mean, I'm gonna
Not
be
gonna lie.
honest. I'm just taking Yuffie here and not thinking too much about it.
Yeah.
Cheap forward, can't be blocked, draws a card when she or Ninja deals damage, gives you outs to find the Yuffie legend for the special, pairs well with Sonon. I just
Mm,
think like any copy of Yuffie, because the Yuffie 18 legend is such a powerhouse in the cube. It is a
yeah.
very, very weak pack though. I think the
This is
next best
so
card
bad.
was like the Emperor, because you can play it in anything and you could like maybe use it as a really slow Ku Sith that comes with a 9K body, but like I'm not happy about that as my pack one pick one most of the time. Like,
Yeah. The only other card that I'll really think about is maybe the Philo, because wind isn't necessarily a bad element in the All-Star Cube, and being able to generate free water CP isn't necessarily a bad thing either. So that those are probably the three cards to think about: the Yuffie, the Emperor, and Philo in that order.
I was gonna say Adele. Like Adele still has, when Adele attacks, choose a forward, break it, which I think could be interesting, even if you can't find a witch for her.
Yeah, I,
Like
I mean, I
I think
get.
that that's like the third best. Like I don't think you're ever taking Philo over Yuffie here. Maybe that's, but like I don't know. Like to me, water is not very good in the cube, so I'm not rating that from the Philo. And like there's a lot of backups. I'd rather be trying to get something that can lead somewhere rather than just a backup that like may or may not actually matter.
Slop life.
Fair enough. Let's. I'm gonna say like
We'll take the Yuffie
we'll
then.
take
We'll
the
take the
Yuffie.
Yuffie.
Let's see how rewarded we are. And
Oh God.
I mean, it's a better pack at least. Might just probably, like, if it's me, just take the Susano here and just like I think
I kind of like
Susano's
Lady Lilith actually, to be honest.
Lilith is great too. I mean, the Gilgamesh is not bad either. Like, as a big forward that doles two when you play it and can attack twice.
Yeah.
Bahamut. I mean, any removal, any summons gives you outs to Caius are always good.
Why did we get this pack?
Yeah, no, that first
Why
pack
didn't we get
was,
this pack?
but like,
Oh God.
yeah. I think it's probably Susano, Gilgamesh, or Bahamut, kind of depending what you're feeling. I feel like Susano probably overrides the Gilgamesh, just given it's attached to the body. And then from here, man, really
It's
just not
just
rewarded
another
for that.
real about a depression. Yeah.
Yeah, like probably lose Silver Leela if we want to stick with what we had, and if not,
Mm.
you take Toto and you try to say maybe we'll go Fire Ice or Ice Wind, and one of our first three picks isn't going to make the deck. It's a pretty rough feeling, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, what can you do in that spot? It's just
yeah,
like there's really not a
four
great
limit
deal
breaks
of
in this
any
pack as
direction.
well. Like, man.
Mm.
All right, well, hopefully when we start drafting the next set, we will have slightly better luck with getting the packs to fall the way that we want. Um,
Getting something halfway decent in an opener.
so a little bit of housekeeping for the channel in general before we kind of dive into kind of what's been going on in Final Fantasy TCG over the last About a week and a half almost for us. We didn't actually record
Mhm.
at our usual time last week, but I had a catch-up video with Travis. It's going to go up probably the day after this podcast goes up. We're going to keep this on its normal schedule. I might reference in that video once or twice, thinking it was going to go up before this, but I think it just makes more sense to put it up the day after. Full set reveal will be coming out on Tuesday, and I will be doing whenever we get the set, whether it's IGN or the Japanese card browser. I will be doing my normal blind react live stream. Uh, I will also be doing not one but two different set reviews this set. One with Rudros, which is the classic full set review, looking at things in how we expect them to do in constructed. But also, we're going to do a new one this year. Me and Rob want to do a limited set review where we're talking about the best cards in draft and sealed and trying to get you guys to win those pre releases and get those Lulu promos that might be in hopefully by the time that the pre release happens where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Like limited is got to be probably one of the more premier formats for the next couple of weeks. I understand there's a couple of local events that like down in Victoria where they don't actually run an actual standard format because everybody's working off the assumption that nobody has cards yet. So they just do a draft format. That way, everybody gets cards simultaneously. We don't do that up here because pretty much nobody in New South Wales likes limited, but much of a muchness. I'm excited. Like new set is going to make things very interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'll be one of our discussion topics. Is just kind of all of our feelings and excitement towards the new set. Definitely a lot going on. Should be a pretty busy week for all of us. Just real quick, let's just do the stupid thing. Let's go to IGN to make sure they haven't uploaded it in the middle of this.
just just keep that page up and just refresh every couple of seconds. But
Nope, not yet.
uh,
Just in case,
error
always got to double check. I may or may
error
not have that
404, site not
bookmarked.
found.
But yeah, so we had a couple materia cups that happened in the meantime since we did our recording again last week. We recorded on I think like a Thursday, just
It was
because.
Thursday night, yeah.
Yeah. So we had a materia cup in Canada. Materia Hunter doesn't have the final results, just the Swiss standings. The winner was Anthony on Windwater Storm Monsters, which, I mean, obviously, I think the deck is quite strong. Couple changes here and there. He fit the seconds at Ainen. I talked to him a little bit. He said he was just kind of, it's so good in the mirror, but like, man, it is so bad when you're not playing in the mirror that like, I don't get that. He made room for the second Chocobo, and his backups were a little bit different. Only was on two Sarahs to make room for or one copy, or My Little Vieira tech as well. Don't know if I like going down on Sarah in specific, just given how strong that is on your backup line.
But it
Also
looks
made
like
room.
he's also gone down a fair amount on the monsters as well. So if I recall, the deck generally wants to run like 10 or 11 monsters. This is down at 9.
Yeah, I think notably he also made room for the Cerberus to try to handle like the Ice Wind stuff. But like we're down to only one Echidna. I, Anthony's a good friend of mine. Very good player. He's been playing Windwater longer than I have. But I'm gonna be honest. I really don't like this list compared to the stock one for the most part. To me, like the Echidna is like a secondary win condition for the deck. Only having one copy of it's kind of annoying. Zidane, maybe this is just me. I made a joke about this, but it's kind of true. My decks always have good cards in them, and my opponents always have bad cards. So when I play off my opponent's deck, I feel like I get like demolished. But when people play this card against me, they just steal like the most broken stuff ever. But
It's always the way. Like I've had like mixed luck when playing that Zidane. Like I remember one time I played the Zidane, and then I flipped over the 4-color Warrior of Light with all the backups active. So I'm just like, okay, cool. Now I just win the game, right?
yeah, like when it's powerful, it's powerful. But like, I mean, you saw me in that top cut match in Sydney, and it's like I'm playing against the Earth Lightning control deck, and I stole like Arc Odin 9, and it's like cool. Really don't want to pay for those, but I mean, I guess I have the option if I really need to now. Like,
Yeah, just think of it as a 2 CP discount
yeah, it's
because you're
like
not casting it from hand.
it's better than nothing, but it's not exactly exciting. The amount of times I played Mono Earth and stole like two copies of Titan and like a backup that searches something cards that aren't in my deck, and it's just like, man, like or I'll get to 5 backups and steal backups, but like maybe that's why people like Firewind Zidane is that like everybody else's decks are bad, but when it's played against me, my deck always has good cards, so I just am okay drawing out of it. But no, I
Yeah,
mean like obviously Anthony played this really well. The matches were all streamed. Great commentary as well, by the way. I forget who did the commentary for it, but I was kind of listening in on it. But yeah, deck ran the gauntlet despite being 15th in Swiss, which is kind of hilarious. The classic of Swiss standings just don't necessarily matter in Top Cut. Um, and for what it's
it's
worth, I
just
don't.
whatever you run into.
For what it's worth, like to me, it isn't even necessarily what deck wins events that's the important one. A lot of times, the distribution and the conversion rate are more important. And
Hmm.
like usually, it's like okay, the conversion rate. If you look at this, there's 1, 2, 3 MBMs. I think there's 3 Ice Winds. There's 2 Gigawalls in here. There's definitely like you can see a lot of what are the standard quote unquote best decks in here for sure. Two
There's
copies
a
of Mono
couple of
Water.
there's a couple of copies there
Oh,
of
3 Mono Waters actually.
yeah. There's now two brave souls that are playing Raffia and made it to the top cut. So
Yeah, I mean, I know
uh,
Sydney's list real quick. I've got to take a look. I haven't seen Tayo's list. What do we got
hmm,
here?
this is getting out of hand.
Now there are 2 of them. Um, this looks a lot like Sydney's current builds, and I kind of get some of it. Like again, going up to 3 Ferris, 3 Arc, just because the when Refia goes to 1, that is like that's 2 threats that are out of your deck, and it's obviously your best deck, or best threat. So trying to like up the number of threats. But man, like Ferris feels so weak to me before damage 3. I've always said running 3 Zidane is just completely pointless. Still no Terra in here. Like to me, like 5 cost Terra with Warrior of Light just is a win condition. You establish that and the game is over. It's like I never understand why, because I don't think Sydney's on it either, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, like 5 cost Terra is just so good in this deck. Yeah, no, it's pretty much the exact same. Sydney is up on Lena's, although why I don't know why we're on this one instead of the 4 cost. And it's not like the effects are that different, Like this one draws a card, the 4 cost, but like the 4 cost can kind of get your engine online if you need it to in a pinch, or kill Seymour in a pinch, which are like the 2 modes that I kind of need. I don't really need a 3 cost Lena that draws me a card. I feel like in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, there's justification for both of the Lenners really. Like the big important thing in this one is the difference is you're actually shaving a backup to add the extra Lenner in. And it looks like it was a Shintoto that was shaved, so we're down to one Shintoto here, whereas Tayo's build has got two Shintotos in it.
Yeah, I mean, I for what it's worth, I also like just the one Shantoto. You got to be able to make them respect it, but you don't have to play multiples of it. I feel like a lot of the time for them to have to respect it. I do think this Toto LB might be a bit ambitious now that I'm looking at the list, though. We only have 11 Earth cards in the deck total. I'm almost wondering if that is going to be too difficult. Like, it's a nice catch-all if you do find like a really heavy monster deck, but man, you just like could never discard an Earth card. I guess it does help a little bit. Like Cryo can help you get there without using an Earth card as well, because you can get the Cryo into play off of the Barts, and that can get you
Yeah.
the one of your Earth pips, but you still
Well,
need
the
three.
odd number Earth pip specifically, that's the important bit
Yeah,
for Limit Break Toto.
yeah, but you're still going to need 3 Earth cards in hand with only 10 total possibilities at that point. I kind of think that might be stretching a little bit too much on the mana there.
It's
Um,
just another one of those, respect the card moments. Like, especially with like this particular deck here, because it's got the two Shintotos.
yeah.
If people are like, oh, I've put the Shintoto into damage, then I don't have to worry about it anymore. Well, guess what? Here's another one.
Yeah, but if the Toto's in damage, then you're down to even fewer Earth cards in the deck too. So it is funny because Tayo actually doesn't have the Toto LB, and I wonder if that's because of the low Earth count in the deck. Very
That's
interesting.
definitely a possibility. Yeah.
Very interesting. I don't know if I've seen this fire, uh, water crystals deck from Amethyst. Let's have a quick peek, real quick.
Oh, this just looks like a straight up order fire just clean crystals deck. Like no Warriors of the Crystal to do any crystal stuff. That Soul is a absolutely hilarious card to be running.
I mean, it's a good card. Like it's one of those things where when I was doing the Fire Ice remnants at the start of the set, it's almost always in consideration. It's just like a really good thing to kind of help accelerate you and get some expensive forwards out of your hand.
Yeah.
You know, like you do get a discount on them when you play this card, which is fantastic. You know, but
Yeah. I do have to wonder though, if we're in Water Fire, why aren't we running the full 3 copies of Furion?
yeah, I don't really know that one, especially with like the Lena as well, which can bring it back. I almost wonder why we're not on the 3 copies of Lena. Like Lena is so good in these crystal decks. I will say Rahal's stocks have to be higher than ever after seeing what the Remnants did as well. With as far as just
Yeah.
like having a critical mass of these 3 cost idiots that make 2 crystals being good. The one
Yeah,
Lunith
it's
we're on, like we have like a little bit of a Warrior of Light package thanks to the Lena. Weird to see this Lena in here as well. Like we are kind of water heavy. I guess we're gonna
wow.
like do that once, but like I don't know what we're supposed to be
Well,
bringing
what are you
back with
getting
this.
back?
Yeah, like
Exactly.
and this Lena as well, but we don't have the Lena. I guess like the Ferris gives us the ability to burst into it. But yeah, I don't know what we're bringing back with Lena. That's so worth having this. Very very interesting.
Yeah. The only thing that I could think of is that it's just another like job warrior of light that you could potentially get. But
But like we
like
have the
I'd
three
say
cost
the
Lena and the 4 cost Lena for that if we really needed to. So I
yeah.
don't really know what that one is supposed to be bringing back.
I mean they made Top Cut, so
Yeah, I mean like
can't
you know
necessarily discount like the positioning as well. Like it's just one of those sorts of things. Like I could, like with the one Raffia there as well, I could sort of see the thought process because you do have that Warrior of Light sub theme, and then Bart's as a free Warrior of Light as well because you generate 3 crystals, you start jamming,
we've got our
and then
Dusk
young
and our
X and Mill.
Soul as well. Like we have a lot of Warriors of Light on this list too. Like Refia, Sarah FFL in
Hmm,
the backups, the one Lunith. Like it's not hard for Refia to be live in this deck, which is good. Um, yeah, no, I mean it's a neat list. Definitely some changes I'd be making, but glad it got them there on the weekend to at least the top cut.
Yeah, like
X and Mill can
certainly can't
also
be upset.
tutor your Refia out of the deck as well when it's good.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I mean maybe that's part of the reason for the Lena is that you can get that from the deck, but like I feel like even there, the other one that just draws a card is going to be slightly more impactful. Shout outs to
Yeah,
Mike Byrne, by the way. Really great guy. I know Mike Powell was second. I'm curious if this is just like the stock standard, which it looks like it pretty much is. Yeah,
yeah, it's
just
the
the
stock build.
so the lightning as opposed to the water one. I still think that like there's maybe an argument to do the water one, especially given the element balance in the deck is a bit off. But I mean the deck is strong and doing well, so not
Yeah,
surprised to see that in the slightest. Uh, I mean, I was talking with Travis about it a little bit. Like, I think the meta, we kind of have our 5 top decks at this point, and I mean, all of them are represented here except for I guess Warriors, which is actually shocking because NA is such a Warrior heavy.
mm.
Um,
maybe there's some small representation in one of the Gigawall builds, but
yeah, but
that's also
like in Japan, Warriors is doing extremely well. It's extremely well represented. And it's like to me, it's like it's Gigawall, Icewind, MBM, Wind, Water, and Warriors as like the I'm not gonna say clear 5 best decks, but like by results and by like those are the
mhm.
decks that are doing well in winning tournaments and are the highest represented decks. There's definitely other decks that you can win with. Again, there's 2 Bartzes here. There's
The
the
straight mono water.
Army of One decks, the Kane Turbo decks, the Mono Earth, Mono Fires. Like these decks are getting some amount of results and representation, but not quite to the same degree as that like top 5. But like it's still a very diverse meta. Like there's a lot of options. Gullwings are still around and doing things
Mhm.
occasionally. Um, yeah, I mean, congrats to Anthony. I'm hoping I get a chance to see him again in Japan. Again, really, really nice guy. One of my favorite people to hang out with. So always, always happy to see him do well.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens on the flip side. But we didn't just have that Materia Cup. We also had the Materia Cup in Paris. Now, this one's really quite interesting. So, the way that they did this format, it is a double deck format, but it is deck A for 3 games and then deck B for 3 games. So, this is pretty much exactly the same as the Worlds format or the European Continental Championship format. Makes things quite interesting.
It's kind of neat, actually. I didn't even notice this until now. They have their a full breakdown of the decks in the top cut as well as the decks in Swiss on the left. I
Yeah,
imagine they probably
that's
don't get. They probably maybe they don't show the decks below this like that like are one ofs around. But
But it also gives you like a conversion rate as well. Like you'd see MBM, there's two of them in the top cut, but there was 16 in the event. Like
yeah,
Icewind
ice wind
Crystals, one of them in
crystals.
cut.
Yeah, that is an awful conversion. Mono water. Look at the conversion rate on mono water. By the way,
That's
um,
five in the event, and then three of them made cut. Like that's huge. Like
it,
that to me just speaks to the power of mono water. Like if we just pull up one of the deck, like one of the
uh,
mono water
and
decks.
I
Like I
think
think it is actually the monster based build because
actually I'll pull up the winning list here. But
second place
there's a second. That's right. Yeah, the
is
second
sec.
place. Yeah, winning was MBM and Icewind, which makes sense. But yeah, I mean this.
Yeah, this is just mono water monsters.
Yeah, this is just the Hara list kind of changed to accommodate Golbez instead of Realm. It feels like. We're down like one Gao compared to that list, and he's up one Witch, which makes sense because I feel like Golbez works better with Witch than he does with Gao in my experience. So kind of flipping those
Yeah.
numbers a bit makes sense to me. But
But
like,
it's actually one forward down altogether as well, because the original builds were on 15 forwards, because they had either the third Gal or like the third realm. Like basically the third Gal and the second witch. Like you swap the third Gal for the third witch, and then there
yeah,
was 3 realms, which are now 2 Golbez.
yeah, the Gao and yeah, this one of these would have been at three for sure as well in that list. But like, that also makes sense. Golbez being a dark card, you don't need three of him in the deck in the same way that you did with Realm. And like I said, I think Golbez plays nicer with Witch thanks to the multi Shadow Dragon plays. Witch
Mhm.
clearing your Shadow Dragons for the next Golbez to enter, especially with no Golbez LB, actually is surprising. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen
Yeah.
like the one Kagna here. I was like, and the
Yeah,
one
I
Golbez LB, like that package.
really love Cagnazzo.
It sounds so weird to be like, no, this like two cost forward in this like LB are like mission critical, but they really are that good in
Mhm.
these Golbez lists. Um,
Extremely powerful cards.
but like, yeah,
Like
the go ahead,
the
son.
Golbez just says like the Cognito just says like 2 CP bouncer forward. Like that's already a phenomenal rate. You got a Tross out, that's 2 CP bouncer forward, draw a card.
Especially in a meta where MBM is so prominent, like being able to
Hmm.
kill an Ash for two, it's like the one of the best rates for killing an Ash in the entire game.
Yeah, easily.
The full three Kuchus, like I feel like the summons weren't necessarily solid, but like the ratios of summons usually it was like 6 to 8 summons in the
Hmm.
Hara mono water lists, and then like the backups, it is this 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 line basically of like all of the best EX backups that draw you a card and like a couple of utility things like the Yagrash. Sarah for Gordon at 2, I believe that was what it was in the Hara list. The 3 Thordens was what Hara was on, but we're down to just the 2 here. That kind of makes sense. Hara's logic on the third Thorden was always funny to me, where it's
Yeah.
one goes in play and 2 go to my damage zone.
One of the things I find kind of interesting as well is that there's actually more backups in this build than there is in the other builds. Like the other builds were in at 13 backups. This one's up at 14. So I'm just trying to figure out what
uh,
the extra
Adding
backup is. And I
Schultz
think it's that
helps.
Lhasa, actually.
Larsa is here. I don't know if that was always that wasn't in the realm list.
That
Schultz
wasn't in the
wasn't
original build.
wasn't out at the time
Hmm.
when we were playing the deck, so like that's kind of
But
news.
Schultz immediately went in for one of the backups.
It did,
That
yeah.
was the sort of thought
And then
process.
like making sure there's the room for the one alchemist. I guess like with the Thornton, the alchemist makes a lot of sense. Almost surprised to not
Yeah.
see like a Luso. I I don't understand like lightning LB and decks without a lightning in them, or like a very good LB plan for her. Just I
Yeah.
do not impress me. But yeah, it's I mean, it does speak to the power of mono water in two deck format. I feel like where it's like it's very hard to find two decks that beat mono water.
Yeah,
Um,
like it's so hard. Like you can see it here, right? It came second and it came third. So um, maybe it's just a case of both MBM and Icewind just had good matchups into the mono water
it
deck, or both of them ended up beating the secondary deck. So like in this case, it's mono water, mono earth. I don't know how well mono earth does into MBM or Icewind, and then like you got mono water and Gigawall, which like Gigawall can definitely put up a fast fight, but I kind of think just MBM just outvalues it in the end. So
it's kind of fascinating. I know I talked about like to me like conversion rate and representation matter almost more than what deck wins. It is wild that the conversion rate on MBM and Icewind was this bad, and it still won the tournament. I
yeah,
wonder if
like it's
that's.
literally just the one Icewind crystals that made it to the top cut, and then it won the event.
I kind of wonder if that speaks to something about two deck format that makes these decks either harder to play or harder to play in Swiss with this kind of AA. But like again, like these decks are doing well in like single deck tournaments, which is to me when you're in the AAA BBBBB format like this, like I almost think you want like good one deck tourney decks, like two of them as opposed to like necessarily looking for complementary stuff. And like MBM Ice Wind, there's no overlap. You just get to play two constructed normal lists without making any changes. You know, like there is conflict in with the Mono Water and Mono Earth. They're like Mono Water and Giga Wall are going to be fighting for cards. So it's a very interesting way for that to show up. Um,
Yeah, the other mono water here was paired with Cat 12 by the looks of things, so that's just the straight Sky Pirates build. So that's they don't share like between those
I
two.
mean,
So
speaking of conversion rate, by the way, considering how bad
it's
this deck's conversion rate was at Worlds, like there were a lot of players on Cat 12 at Worlds, and this was two of
yeah,
two. So if you showed up at this event with Cat 12, you were in top cut
that's
when all was said and
definitely an
done.
interesting, yeah, definitely an interesting thought process on that one.
So I mean, it looks pretty normal for both of them. I mean, these decks are very strong when they do their thing. I'm not like surprised by that. You know, Pinello is probably the best auto cancel, one of the best auto cancels in the game, especially on a forward. You know, she's just so cheap,
Hmm.
can replace herself immediately if you have a couple of active Sky Pirates. The Bosch and Ash are just so sticky. Balthier can help protect your field as well, along with the Ash. Fran,
Yeah,
it's kind of you know generates you so much mana over the course of the game if she as early as turn one going first, and like the answers to this card are not that easy. It's very easy to deal with a 3 cost 7k, 3 cost 8k, or 3 cost 9k if you had the Balthier in play, especially
hmm
when you start stacking up the Bosch and the Ash next to it. It can be really hard to answer this card.
yeah, absolutely. And then you've also got the couple of copies of Redis, which it doesn't necessarily look like a particularly strong card, but it gets cheaper for each other Sky Pirate you already have in play. And then it just says that all of them other than Redis can't be chosen by summons. So that's actually huge game.
It's interesting. It does mean that they can't just Cucullin your Pinello to turn off the auto cancel, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. It is a card that is not good until you're already set up, which is why this card historically hasn't seen a ton of play. Only the one copy of the Vaughn. I imagine probably its main purpose is just to give this Vaughn more forwards to search if it needs to, because it can't. The Vaughn can't play backups anyway. There's only one Sky Pirate backup in the deck with as the Philo.
Yeah, that is definitely fair. But the way that those decks can just suddenly go, here's a gigantic board, have fun. I do like the one copy of Neo X Death though, just as a way to sort of get rid of your opponent's board.
I mean,
I
I do
think
think
that's
that's a
the
good
problem that I've
finisher.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just historically has had problems with actually like you get these gigantic boards, but you've historically had issues with actually getting across the line or interacting with what your opponent's doing. The three copies of Kusith are cards that you can get back and actually do stuff. One other thing that's actually quite interesting, if you have a look at the backup line, there's the Opus 14 Begamnon. Uh, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, if you want Earth FF12 backups, your choices are basically this Begamnon, or there's those like the Bonga backups There's like a Bonga standard unit from like Opus 8 that
Mm.
like is not very good. So like I get why it's there if you just want to enable the Fran and the Earthen deck a little bit easier. But yeah, the Neo X that's interesting. Like historically, the finisher for these decks was Ace. You would just build up a huge board of characters and then play Ace, wipe their field, and then swing in for game with your
Yeah.
much larger field of idiots. But like Neo X as a secondary finisher makes a lot of sense. We're on two Lulus, which gets us back both the Yuna and our Dryads and our Alexanders to give us kind of our defensive line.
Hmm.
Uh, Definitely interesting to see this deck kind of pop up again. I know that a friend of the channel, Mick Mall, is huge on FF12, saying like he thought it was broken at the start of the set.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really panned out really. Even at Worlds, I would say it was the deck that kind of underperformed the most out of the decks we expected to do well. So
Yeah,
seeing it,
like one of the things that I remember having a conversation, I believe it was with KP actually. He like we were just like having a chat, and it's like all of the Mono Wind players had jumped onto the Sky Pirates deck, and it basically it's just like if we were on Mono Wind, we would just have such a better matchup spread. But it is what it is in the end.
yeah. Um, Yeah, I still don't know if I love the two deck AAAA BBB. Like I feel like that kind of takes some of the worst parts of two deck format and of one deck format. But like because this is the world's format, because outside of Australia this is the Continentals format, and I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the Continentals format for us this year, where we did a B format like this as well. But
I honestly hope it's not. I love double deck best
I
of three.
love double deck best of three, but I would not be surprised if they say, look, we want to be consistent with the rest of the world. And I mean, it's definitely interesting. Like I said, seeing the variations in how the like I said, MBM had it like that's an awful conversion rate for what are the best decks. Warriors 1 of 5 into top cut.
Yeah.
Gigawall had 1 of 4. And you see like all these copies of Mono Earth and Mono Water converting. I wonder like, do you think that like MBM and these Icewind like because to me even Icewind especially feels like a deck that just shouldn't be a problem for a two deck format like this. Like you're not taxing like wind is just such an irrelevant element for most other
Mm.
decks in the game that like this is not taxing your LB. And sure, I guess like your other deck can't really play ice cards, but like that still leaves 4 very good elements that are not, wind is just so parasitic to, with itself, it feels like.
Yeah. I think the main thing that I can think of is with the when it comes to sort of like the single deck formats with MBM and Icewind, and to an extent Mono Earth as well, everybody's prepared for them. So everybody knows like how to play against the deck. Everybody's aware of what they're capable of. Everybody's sort of up and down and all around exactly what their strategies are. Whereas if you come into a two deck format, um, it's kind of just like, well, you're going in with two decks, right? So you kind of have to prepare both your Icewind and your MBM against two different decks that are like could potentially be doing particularly well. And that could also speak to the conversion rate of both MBM and Icewind. Like 1 from 14 is a horrible conversion rate. 2 from 16, another horrible conversion rate. Whereas you look at Mono Water, that's 3 from 5. Like
I mean,
Cat
like
12, 2 from 2.
Mono Earth is better as well. Like, a deck that we've talked about how it feels like it's really fallen off. I mean, maybe it's just the conversion rates just don't look good across the board for most of these decks, and like MBM and Icewind are very popular, and because the top cut just had so few of these decks convert and like one like the most we had of anything were these 3 ofs. But do want to take a
Yeah.
quick look. I this is Golbez LB, which that is a deck
Oh,
that
this is an Archfiend's
yeah, this
deck.
looks like
Oh,
Archfiends.
let's go. It is.
Yeah, so it's Water Lightning Archfiends using Golbez LB. So we're on Barbarisha, new Cagna, that makes sense. New Skarm,
That one makes sense
and
too
new Rubik.
because,
It's just
yeah.
it's all of the Opus 25 Archfiends in the deck.
Yeah.
with
And then you got the
Cecil to protect
Cecil
them.
Kane. Kane's in there too.
Two roses seem to be standard for decks that are trying to do this like Kane slash Cecil combo thing. We're in Water Lightning because of the Kane. Basically, what it looks like we've done. We're in Water Lightning to enable this like Cecil Kane off of Rosa play,
Mm.
and we've filled out our FF4 package with Golbez LB for Barbie, for Cagna, for Skarm. Very interesting. Almost
Yeah.
surprised
And
not.
then just a little bit of Water Lightning Odin, just to Water Lightning, Lightning, and Odin, just to sort of fill everything out. Like it looks like a spicy as hell deck. Look at that burst count.
I
Is
was
that
gonna
26 bursts?
I was gonna say
That's huge.
probably similar to how this deck was in Japan, where it was being played as kind of a, I'm not gonna call it a counter, but in L3 this deck was played to kind of play into the soldiers meta, and probably because Rubik
Mm.
has a burst, Barbie has a burst. Like so many of these cards that you wanted to play anyway, just kind of naturally have bursts and can function as a defensive line. I'm a little surprised to not see any copies of Cucullin in here over the Odins. Like Cucullin's just so good right now, and especially in
Yeah, I
two
would have
deck to
loved to have
me.
seen Cullens. Yeah.
Yeah, like cut the 1/7 cost Odin here at minimum. Maybe one of these other Odins for like two Cucullins. I think would have really brought this deck together for me.
Yeah.
Um, I almost wonder if it'd be worth one copy of the Warp Golbez as well for a slower matchup. Like that card really is just, it makes all these cards so much better in hand too.
Yeah, I think it's one of those sort of cards as well. Like if you think about the way that all of them sort of work, they all want to have Golbez in play already. Like Barbarisha does its 2K cleave if you already have Golbez in play. Cognato gets better if you already have Golbez in play. Skarm does better things if you already have Golbez in play. Like the Warp Golbez is definitely a card to consider, but if you're already doing like if you're doing these sort of Archfiend things, the Golbez already wants to be in play rather than, waiting to come into play to play the free stuff and draw cards.
Yeah, but like to me, like the Cagna is the one that really wants the Golbez in play. Like Barbie, like the 3K cleave on Barbie, I think is mostly irrelevant. I think that the EX get back in
Hmm.
Archfiend is the important part. Rubik doesn't have an enter effect. He actually only cares about Golbez being in play, being able to attack. I feel like you could like being able to cycle this for a free 8K and a card draw is quite solid. And maybe that's I really have enjoyed like trying to make Warp Archfiends work multiple times. That deck is just so much fun, and maybe without like playing some of the other Warp support, it also just might not be worth it as well. But like I do wonder if like if you play a Rubik and maybe a Barbie off of a Warp Golbez over the course of the 4 turns, he's kind of paid for himself and then some. And maybe that's still too slow, but definitely it's an interesting list for sure. It's also weird
Yeah.
seeing the 7, also like we're on only one extra lightning and 7 Odins. I feel like that probably could have been flipped around at minimum as well. Like if we're not going to play the Cucullins, this Odin could have been another copy of lightning instead.
Just to sort of balance the numbers out.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
again, they made cut, so
yeah.
congrats to them.
No, I mean I always love seeing Archfiends as a deck do well. So definitely kudos. One copy of Warriors, again, kind of that like fifth pillar of the top 5 that we talked about previously. Looks
Hmm.
pretty normal and standard. So
It's a 3-color build,
yeah.
nice and easy.
All right. That's
But there
that's
we
ancient
go.
history though. So as we're leaving uh, Dreamlike Oceans, I talk about it with Travis a little bit again in that video that comes out tomorrow. I really do think this has been a good format. I know that you have like slightly different thoughts on it, but like it feels like most elements have some amount of representation. Lightning being probably the least represented, but like MBM is still a Lightning deck doing very well. I still think Cloud LB is arguably the single best card in the game for its for what it's worth as well. You know, I think
Yeah.
it's been a very diverse format. I think that the bands, a lot of the legends and new decks have kind of shown up and done new things. We're not seeing Refia versus Chaos Arc versus Knights as our kind of our 3 big pillars of the format kind of have all
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm sort of two minds of the format, right? So, like my first thought is, it settled really quickly into these are like some brand new decks to watch out for, like MBM and Icewind both being largely Opus 28 decks. That's spectacular. Like as from a sales and marketing perspective, having your latest set produce two brand new decks that are both winning events, that's amazing. Um, but at the same time, it just kind of got really boring really quickly from my perspective. Like I understand that everything sort of settled down as like MBM is one of the strongest decks, Icewind is one of the strongest decks, Gigawall like is one of the strongest decks. Like the mono wind players are reinventing themselves into wind water now that like there's options from that sort of perspective. But I don't know, it just kind of felt like more of a sort of a status quo, if that makes sense. Like everything settled down really fast, and there was just no innovation. Like
I don't know if I even really agree with that, to be honest. To me, like I don't like Tori topped with that weird tricolor ice earth water deck in the middle of the set. You know, we've seen the Kane deck, like that's a deck that's been around now, but like that was a out of nowhere deck. Army of One
yeah,
from the start of the set. Like there's just and like the different
mm,
builds and ways, like I don't really.
I don't know. It could just from my perspective, it kind of just felt like those sort of interesting, sort of like attack on a different axis sort of decks. Like they sort of popped up and then they stopped popping up. Do you know what I mean? Like the Army of Cain deck showed up for literally two events.
Yeah, but like I don't think that's a bad thing because to me, playing with and against that Kane deck, it is doing one thing very well, and it's very hard for that deck to handle decks that handle what that gimmick is. And unfortunately, two of the three best decks kind of shut it down entirely. That deck has massive struggles against Icewind and against MBM, for instance. And
Yeah,
like some decks have polarized matchup spreads. Mono Wind being the classic example of this, where like Mono Wind could beat you know, a lot of any water deck could never beat Mono Wind for however long, and then 13 came out, and 13 just Mono Wind has no chance at ever beating a Cat 13 deck. Like it is the worst matchup in the history of time. It is like almost a 90-10 matchup in Cat 13's favor. Chaos Arc similarly would just smash that deck. And it's like that deck would do well in I think Mono Wind almost had a winning matchup against Knights even but like depending on the way that the deck played, how low it was to the ground, the way that it attacked your resources, like Mono Wind would have no game into some decks and tons of game into others. The Kane deck is similar to me in that way. And like, I don't know, like I still see like a lot of innovation. I think still that the Earth Water deck that we have is I think on the same level as the well-regarded top 5. Like I think it's in that conversation personally. I think there's up to 15 decks that could do well at a tournament. Like
yeah. My
yes, the
biggest
same
thing is
decks are
just
winning events,
yeah,
but like the top cuts are diverse. There's a lot of things, Mono Earth, Mono Fire, and granted those are older decks as well. But like that's cool to me that the older decks are getting mixed in with the newer ones, and the newer ones are performing. But the representation is still there in Top Cut and in tournament play. And there's even decks that like I didn't expect to see. Like I did not expect to see Snow become a control payload this set with like Lumina to like be extra removal and stuff in like an Ice Earth shell.
yeah. Like it's just sort of like my sort of thought process about the whole thing. Like it kind of just felt like, and I understand like everybody's going to have a different opinion to me. I completely understand that. Like this is just my personal take. I just feel like the creativity died the moment that the same three or four decks just kept winning events. It's just like, okay, well now I like do I play a deck that tries to beat that, or do I try to create something new? Or do I just play the same old shit that I was playing the last couple of sets? You know what I mean? Like, I understand. Our Water Earth Monster deck, I absolutely love that deck. That was so much fun to play, but unfortunately, it just didn't catch on. And Like I feel like if other people actually like gave it a chance and like had a look at it, I reckon it could have absolutely taken events, but unfortunately, it just
Yeah, but I
like it
mean,
didn't end up catching on. So
I'm not gonna blame that on the deck or the format though. Like that's just gonna be the case everywhere. You know, people would play Refia, you know, or whatever other like people just play what they perceive. And like I don't fault people for playing what they think are the best decks because at the end of the day, when you go to a Materia Cup or you go to an LQ, or even when you go to locals, you do want to win. You want the promos. You want the invites. You want the chance to go to the World Championships. Like you should show up with the deck that makes you feel like you're going to do that. And if we have a pretty well established, these are probably the top 5 decks. Anything in the top 15 can do well and win. I would expect a lot of those better players to be picking decks from the top 5.
yeah,
That's
I don't know. It's just my sort of personal thought processes. I just a bit of backstory on my sort of play style. I love decks that attack from a different axis. Like that's why I gravitated so heavily towards monsters because it does attack from a different axis. It's why I gravitated so heavily towards chaos while it was out because it attacks from your bin. It doesn't attack from your hand. So like those styles of decks, like I understand like some of those could have they can be considered a little bit quote unquote toxic, like by the way that by the way that they play with or against or anything like that. But it's those sorts of like really cool, crazy, interesting things that draw me towards this game. And like with maybe one or two exceptions, I'm just not seeing it. Like it's just a bit of a shame from my perspective.
I don't know. I think there's been plenty. Personally, like I said, we got the Kane deck, that Earth Water list that came out of Europe in the last 2 deck format tournament there. Tori's tricolor, whatever you want to call it, list. I mean,
Mm.
there's,
But again, those are like notable exceptions to the rule. Like they're
but that's
not the
always been the
rule
case
itself.
though.
But
Like,
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Like metas exist. Like the fact that a meta exists doesn't mean that a format's bad. It just means that people like there's almost an argument in some ways that a meta existing is good because it means that people are trying and they're trying to find things and they're trying to push the format forward. And one of the ways that you push it forward is by these are the meta decks. These are what's doing well. Do I play those or do I play to beat those? And sometimes the answer is you play those. So,
Yeah.
like,
Again, like it's just my sort of personal thought process. Like I have like a kind of a weird mentality when it comes to like deck building and deck playing. So that's why I'm always playing like weird, wacky, wonderful stuff. I I'm also the person that made it to the world championship with 15 dark cards out of 100. So, that's
I mean, I
like
consider myself a deck builder and a brewer as well. You've seen me play a bunch of weird stuff, but there's a lot of times when
mm,
like, for 2 years straight, I played Refia at tournaments, and it's like, sure, there were cards that were swapped out and things that I did differently, and some builds had more EX bursts, some builds had more payloads, some builds had other, different ratios of backups and cards, but like, I don't know, like, I still enjoyed that, and I thought that deck was a blast to play with and against. And
mm,
like I don't know, but a lot of people got tired and bored of that too. So maybe I'm just more complacent, and I'm like I don't mind an established metagame if I find the gameplay loop enjoyable, and I find the gameplay loop of this format to be generally pretty good, with the couple of exceptions.
like don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see that, as I said earlier, from like a sales and revenue perspective, like the fact that the new set introduced two new decks that are both winning a tournament, that's spectacular. I just personally feel like everything's settled down too fast. Like it could also just be that like we would like the Western world was delayed on the set as well.
Yeah,
Like
that's another part of
that
it as well.
could
Like it because the materia cups got so condensed as well. There almost
yeah.
wasn't time to kind of play test in some ways and like kind of find ways of doing things. But I mean, like that, I think that could be like another argument to have is that like I because the condensed schedule, we had at one point in Victoria 2 LQs every weekend, and there was material.
Yeah.
It feels like there have been like 9 Materia Cups in the last month and a half or something crazy like that, along with all the Masters tournaments out of Japan. Like it feels like the organized play schedule because it came out so late has just been really
Mm.
condensed, which means that people like kind of settled in, and it's like when you show up to a tournament the next weekend, you're probably not going to feel that much better playing. Like if I'm playing MBM at a tournament on one weekend, the next weekend I'm not going to say, "Ooh, you know what? This I really like this Esper control list from Tori. I'm going to put in all my time into practice and learn this in the course of a week, and I'm going to do better with it than the MBM list that I played for like the last month and a half." No, that's probably
Yeah.
not going to happen very much.
Yeah, that's true as well. Like again, like to your point as well, like you mentioned that you had like two LQs. Like I had my last LQ earlier today. Um, my first LQ was the 30th of May, and it just feels like that's 2 solid months of non-stop competitive cards, and it's just like you don't really have a great deal of time to sit down and innovate or make things
I mean,
uh,
it's
change
almost
things
hard to
up, and
sleeve
it's
up decks at that point. Like, like
yeah.
pulling cards and sleeving up. Like, I think the most I played any deck in an LQ was I played the same deck twice at multiple LQs, but I did not play it at any deck for three of them. But a lot of it was like, well, I'm playing two decks or two tournaments on the weekend. I'm gonna just play, like I'll play the same deck both tournaments on this weekend. The next weekend I'll change it up, and see what
Yeah,
differences need to be, changes need to be done, and how that
yeah,
feels. But
yeah. Like we also came like because the set was delayed in the Western world. Like we already like we saw Japan had like a month and a half worth of competitive season as well. So it's just like, oh, okay, like
I would say
Japan is
we
doing all of this.
we also had that though. Like we were playing with the cards on Untap for like 2 months before the physical cards were in our hands, and we kind of were like, you guys are probably tired of Kadaj before we ever saw a physical copy of the card because of all the different like playtesting and random bullshit I was doing with that card. And it's like, well, yeah, the
Yeah.
Icewind Crystal's doing well is going to feel stale. You've seen that card doing well for 3 months. It shouldn't be a surprise that Kadaj is doing well. So that might be part of it as well. I do also think this kind of goes. This is something that I think that they should do. I think the off season for FF is just a bad thing in general for it. This like weird 4 month period where the only competitive formats are Worlds and a Summer or Winter Cup is, I think, just
Yeah.
bad for the game as a whole. Where it's like there's just a set that like for everyone except for maybe 250 players in the world just does not matter outside of locals. Is, I think,
Yeah,
just
which is a
outright
bit
bad.
of a shame.
Yeah, and like I thought the Opus 27 meta was really interesting and really cool, but like it was not experienced by many people, and even for us, our main format that mattered for Summer Cup was not standard constructed with Opus 27. It was, I did L3, you did Pauper, Khalil did Title, and it's like that's a completely different ball game at that point. So like the
Yeah, it
only
was
like real
just
Opus 27 event I did was the standard side event at our Summer Cup and Worlds.
yeah.
And I could tell you,
Uh,
I would play different decks after Worlds than the ones that I played there, because I don't think
well,
either of those decks that I played were that good all together. So
well, I think the Breffia deck was like because deck was your bread and butter. It was just like I
she got me
like you
there.
went
Like she got me there
you
two
got
years in a
across the
row.
line, but the ice deck though just wasn't it.
I still think like I lost every die roll with that deck. That's such a big deal for that deck. I feel like in that situation, and like one of the games I punted, and like, but like I think that deck did what I wanted it to. It's just because I went second every game. I was just kind of one turn behind every single game because of going second. I think if I win those dice rolls, I probably win. I think that deck goes 3-1 if I win if I win every die roll with it. To be quite honest, I think
Yeah.
I could have beat Shonen. I could have beat um, the Water
The
Lightning player
Shonen
that I
game
played.
was very interesting to sit down and watch, but
And
I
that
still
game was
maintain Mono Water was the
so
choice.
cool. Clearly it was. It won the whole tournament, but I let's talk about the next set a little bit since we've got quite a bit of time. Let's go through kind of a list of some spoilers. Again, we missed last card of the week. We've got a lot of new, interesting, fun stuff from community spoilers,
Hmm.
and then I just want to talk about like what do we want out of next set? What are the things that we think would be really cool to see?
Yeah,
Like within reason. We're not going to say print a new Refia 2 that like does whatever because we know there's not a Refia in the set most likely because there's not like FF3 support. But let's go through and
plus we
let's
already have that. It's called Panello.
Let's talk through some of these new spoilers since we haven't had a chance to discuss some of them. So our card of the week last week was Maya. So she's a 3 cost with EX, which is actually pretty rare for Legends.
Hmm.
Category Mobius. When she enters the field, you can search for a Mobius character added to your hand. If it's a wall, you also get a crystal. So this kind of gives context to all of those walls with the weird crystal action ability. And then when a category Mobius forward other than Maya enters your field, it gains haste till the end of the turn. This effect will trigger only once per turn. So I had very negative thoughts when I first read this card.
You went through a cycle of thoughts about this card.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
I'll just give my thoughts on it initially. Like I feel like this card is a solid card. Like it's not going to be like a world beater or anything like that. It's not going to sit there and completely dominate a game. It's going to be one of those cards that it's just like, okay, this is going to give purpose to other cards that you have access to. Like I feel like this is the card that Vincent wants to be,
I was about
if
to
that
say
makes
that. Like
sense.
I was, especially coming off of Vincent. Like these cards, they're both 3 costs that kind of draw a card when you play them. They're both, forwards. And it's but
Mm,
like the difference between search and the flip two, the EX burst, the incidental crystal gain matters, and the haste is a big deal. I've
yeah.
actually gone through and I've started looking through the targets for this, and there's some really neat ones. I got to get a new Materia Hunter window open because I closed all of them like a idiot. Um, but like I really like. I don't think this card has ever been great, but this like Opus 12 Gilgamesh, for instance, this is category Mobius, and
Yeah.
this a 5 cost Odin is not terrible. First of all,
Hmm.
as a baseline, like the card's pretty playable for that. But tap and search an Enkidu and play it to the field. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, this is a tap effect. But if we get haste off of this Maya, now we could play the Enkidu for free, and the Enkidu could just activate 3 backups. So this Maya kind of enables this, like, even in mono lightning, some really cool plays. And honestly, I think that this Enkidu with Gilgamesh LB, the more I'm thinking about it, this might have been something we should have been doing a long time ago. If we think about just how strong Refia LB is in the uh, Gigawall lists, this is kind of like a Undead Princess in a way that activates 3 backups instead, and like off of an LB1 too, instead of an LB2. Like that's just like I think a better card than Refia. Like maybe like the discard and crystal's also really good. Don't get me wrong, but like eat 2 cards in your break zone, activate 3 backups for 6 EP is that's a very reasonable trade.
Yeah, like it's definitely one of those things. Like the only sort of thought process behind like this and like if we're comparing like those three sort of effects, right? Um Obviously like the Raffia was the first one and that's sort of where we started. The next one was like the Golbez to get back the Shadow Dragon, to do that sort of play because we're running the Shadow Dragon in the deck. We had a reason to pitch the Shadow Dragon because we had LB Cloud, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think there's any particular cards, unless you're a dedicated Lightning Wind deck, where you actually have a reason to pitch an Enkidu before
I
you play your
I mean
Gilded
I'm
Ash.
gonna show you
That's
the reason why. I think Onion Knight LB is a very good card.
yeah, it's
Like if you're in a Wind Lightning deck anyway, this is a totally reasonable card to be playing in your deck.
yeah, like no disagreements on that. Like it's definitely a powerful card. Like I've always thought it was like a powerful and interesting card. Like when it dies, it brings in a friend for free, and then you could kill it yourself during your opponent's turn, and then all of a sudden you just do like those sorts of shenanigans. I've seen this Onion Knight being sacrificed to kill something, and then Firewind Zidane being played because that is actually a DFF forward, and then just rip a card out of
Yeah.
hand.
But like because it also gets character. I mean, this the Emperor like Water Lightning is already an element combination that we know works very well, and giving this card haste means that this card gets so much better with haste. It's a little bit awkward
Yep.
because it's like haste only on your turn, so you can't like play it, use it as an like if you pass turn with it in play, it's going to lose the haste and stop being an interruption. But like it either functions now as a removal spell or just a potential value piece. It gets backups, so you can get like this Echo for Wall, which is like a package people are already considering. Vegnagun, people have kind of looked at as well. Boonevels and Griever are cards that are potentially
Mhm.
interesting. It's just like, Kikern, like there are reasonable Mobius backups in quite a few different elements. Like if you Earth Lightning, get this Kikern, get Mog Mobius. I don't
Get the Genova.
like Genova Synthesis is a good card. I don't know if we're gonna see Maya in Mono Earth, but like I don't think it's the worst thing you could be doing with given that it has the burst and gives you Cloud LB access, right? She
Yeah.
searches herself as well, which is huge because if you really need that crystal and you want to play, or that you really need the haste, you can still get a copy of herself if she goes to damage as a burst, and then
Hmm.
play it. Like that's a huge deal as well. Like she just enables a lot of little things. It feels like. Earlier this set, I was really looking at Wind Lightning because I felt like Wind Lightning Storm kind of was a deck that was like Cloud just seemed like such a good card for the meta. Like if the meta was all MBM and Icewind and Gigawall, like Cloud is just a great card to have access to, right? Pop the Seymour and the Yazoo, pop the Ash and the Pinello at the same time for such a cheap cost. But
Yeah.
like Lightning offers nothing to Wind other than Cloud. And Maya, I think, gives you just that one more thing to get you to like that 15 to 17 lightning cards in the deck that you need for the deck to actually function. It is awkward though, because like if you filter by Mobius and in lightning, it's kind of slim.
There's barely anything. Yeah.
uh, you have like the two Gilgameshes are probably the best thing. Like Lilithset's interesting because like Lilithset obviously is really important, and that deck does want to play some amount of lightning anyway. You do kind of lose the value off of the haste, but maybe that's not that big of a deal in the deck. Just like more copies of Lilithset could be important for any kind of
Yeah.
a dancer deck.
And
But
then the next thing you got is the other mayors. It's just like Maya is the lightning Mobius card, right? It's just like, oh, there's a mayor, there's a mayor, there's a mayor, there's a mayor. So it's just like, can we have anything else? Like, it definitely wants to be paired with another element. That's
yeah,
the
it,
sort of the main
it
thing.
is funny. I maybe I'll share the list with this at some point in like a short or something. I was already independently looking at Mobius in Wind Water because I was actually looking at this Maya in Storm. I actually played it this week at locals. It did pretty well. Definitely some changes I want to make for it. I actually want to get the second copy of Belgamine in there. Shockingly, but this card it was really fun. It's the first time I've ever actually been impressed with this card ever. Got to play a bunch of weird old cards. Like it was a Storm deck on Mind Flayer and Chocobo Chick and Diabolos. I'll just pull up the list here real quick since we've got plenty of time. But
Since we're
like
talking about
yeah, like I played this
it.
at locals and like this deck is sick. Like it's so much fun. I think technically it's not, one of these cards got cut somewhere like to get to 51, but it's like the three copies of Maya and like we're not playing the monster package at all. So we have like Maya with like Mind Flayer, with the idea being that like Maya Mind Flayer is 2 CP and 2 casts, and like that's so easy to get your Rosa and your Luso live when you have that much speed and agency from just your cast in that regard. Um,
Or even
Chocobo,
three casts.
yeah, yeah, that's right. The Mind Flayer also you cast the card you steal with that. So that is 3 casts for 2 CP. Chocobo Chick is I think a card that maybe we may realize in like 3 years this card should have just always been played at 3 in every win deck ever. As just like an upstart goblin, or like in Magic terms, it's kind of like a Gitaxian probe in a way, where it's like you just get to play one fewer card in your deck, or like your cycling thing, Street Wraith, I think it is.
Yeah, Street Wraith. It's probably a bit more like a Manamorphose, more like
Yeah,
really, because it's like you get the access to all of the mana back and you draw a card. So it replaces itself and it gives you access to the exact colors that you want anyway. So
but like this
like
card for 1 mana is absurd.
it's broken at 1 mana.
Diabolos is really funny because Diabolos can activate the Maya. So this is a 2 mana summon that also like doesn't use the Maya activation and activates all your backups as well. And it's like you get to do some really heinous stuff in this deck when it goes off.
Yeah,
But
as you do.
this whole thing came around though because I was so tired of this Goblin package that I was looking for other 3 cost backups and I found this Echo and I was like, this Maya is kind of an interesting card. not relevant for the May, this Maya obviously, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, very cool card. I think she has a lot more
Mhm.
implications than people realize. I think if she doesn't see play, it's just because she's kind of low impact for what a legend would be. But like, I do think this is a card that has a chance, and like is a lot better than I think she reads on the first glance for sure.
Yeah, like as I mentioned at the very start when we were talking about it, this is the card Vincent wishes it was.
Pretty much, yeah. Like honestly, slap the EX on Vincent, and I'd be all over it.
I'd be
Like,
more interested if it had EX burst. Yeah.
um, we also got our second ever Torgal. This time as a forward. I didn't realize until
Look,
recently this
the
card is a
little
hero.
puppy.
So
Look at the little puppy.
if you have a Clive or a Jill, it's free, which is already pretty interesting. Um, it is a magnet. It's got the Charlotte and the Orin text on it. It's the second one of those that Ice this set for some like Ice gets two of these this set, which is
Ice has just got all of the heat magnets. I don't know why.
yeah. This is the and then if you have a category 16 forward other than Torgal, when Torgal dies, your opponent discards a card. So their punishment for killing the Puppo is that they must discard a card.
Yeah. Like as far as an actual card goes, like each individual piece of the text doesn't necessarily speak volumes about how powerful this card actually is. But at the same time, you put all three of them together, and it's just like, here's my 0 CP forward that you have to target, and if you kill it, your opponent discards a card. So it's effectively -2 CP to do all of to put all of the effects together. It's really funny, but it's also
Uh,
like
it
really dangerous at the same time.
it's definitely interesting. I feel like the backup Torgal is pretty replaceable even in a fire. I like let's say that like
Hmm.
for this card to be good, you have to have a Clive or a Jill in play. You
Hmm.
still cannot get away with not playing Torgal backup in those decks. Like it's very easy to prime if you're in just two elements.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like you don't need the color fixing, and if you don't need the color fixing, this is a really good card.
Yeah. Well, even that, like, you think about it, like ice, like with ice is Jill's element as well, and both the Jills and both the Shivas are incredibly strong cards. So you don't even need the backup toggle for those. You just jam you could just jam this toggle, and all of a sudden everything's fine.
And also,
The
even if
only
you primed a Jill, you still can play this for free because it's still card named
It's
Jill.
both names. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Like
that like the only question that I have is how does this compare to Zayzad and Charlotte? Um,
I think being free puts it a little bit higher, in my personal opinion, but it also just does depend on like what decks you're playing the like each card in. Like Charlotte is an excellent card for knights specifically because it is a knight. Zazat is an excellent card for anything that has 3 CP related
and
shenanigans
crystals as
because
well.
and crystals as well because it does things with crystals. This toggle is going to be spectacular in category 16 decks because it is a category 16 card.
Yeah. Uh, Definitely will be interesting to see this thing show up. I do think this will see some play. I'm not sure where, but again, like we said, the Clive and Jill are strong enough, and you could play this in Mono Fire even if you really wanted to, as long as if you're playing like the six Clive deck, with like the three Ifrits,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to make sure you could always play this for free in that deck. And Fire does not have a magnet like this.
Yeah, and even being a free magnet as well. It's just like the fact that I can spend 0 CP on this and punish my opponent at the same time, incredible.
Actually, it's pretty neat with Clive actually, because the four cost Clive doesn't have an entry effect. This doesn't have an entry effect, so you can always go Clive, free Torgal, Prime, and your opponent still cannot target the Clive there.
Yeah,
So
like everybody's gonna get punished by hitting the little doggo. Like this is just a hilarious card. Like people can have sorts of like thought processes on other bits and pieces, but we won't go into any true details on that one. It's just this is a great card. It is a spectacular card, and it will see play.
yep.
That's all I'll say about it.
Up next we have this Noctis, which was a spoiler from a good friend. I think this is more important probably for limited, where I think the retainers are looking really, really strong as a limited archetype. But I will say, I don't think this card is that far off. That first line of text is really annoying. I really don't like that line of text. But the previous prompto does say Noctis can attack twice. And
Oh, this is an attack trigger. Oh, sorry. I thought this was an entry trigger. My bad.
no,
Okay. That's sort
it's
of
like better and worse because you don't get the
ups
value
things
the
as a
turn you
bit.
play it. But like if this lives, there's a lot of like there's the Wind Ignis that like also whenever you attack with a Noctis, you get to activate all of your characters as well. Like I don't know if this is like better than the other Noctises that we have in print, but like I could see a world where you play this in addition, especially with like Gladio does such a good job of getting the Noctises out of your deck. This might be just correct to have a copy of in a retainer list as well. Like if you're
Yeah, maybe.
like a mono earth or like an earth lightning retainer list, I could totally see happening with because of this card. But like let's pull up the nope, not that one, not that one, not that one, this one.
That one.
Like this Prompto as well. I actually think it's a pretty reasonable card. Just a 2 cost forward that draws when you if you have a Cat 15 forward. Nyx LB is a Cat 15 forward as well. Then honestly, I think Star Shell is going to be like format warping for limited. I think that's like one of the best specials in limited we've ever seen.
Yeah, just like special, pick up a card. Any card.
It
Like,
is annoying by the way that like Prompto has the best cards in every retainer set. It's like cool.
yeah.
We have a bunch of new retainers, and the good one is Prompto again. Awesome.
Classic.
But I do think that like this card as well, even outside of a retainer list, just a Viking for Cat 15 is just interesting.
Yeah, that
Um,
definitely is.
so I don't know if there is going to be a home for this. I might give it a shot. This might be one of those cards where it's like I'll play in limited and see how it feels in limited, and if it feels strong in limited, I'll try to make it work in constructed. That first line of text though is just kind of
It's
brutal.
so restrictive. Like
Yeah,
it is very restrictive. I will say it constructed. The latest Gladiolus searching this Noctis and immediately getting them both in play is actually pretty good.
yeah. You have like the Gladio can search this. You have Luna Freya and Nyx to enable it, so it's probably not like the end of the world if you like really needed to get the cast trigger on this. You can still cheat it into play if you're in like I don't know off of
Some
Al
sort of
Cid,
Gigalol.
like Al Cid or something like that. Like there's ways to get around that. He is a 3 cost 9K, so he's kind of big and could be hard to remove because of his body size. Like there's enough here to be interested, but I also think there's a good chance this card like completely fizzles out and flops outside of like I said local level. I will probably try this at least a little bit though, especially for like 2 deck format type stuff. You guys know
Yeah,
me. I don't even like FF15 that much as a game, but I do love my retainer lists.
yeah.
New Kane, it's probably better than some of the other Canes that we have in print for the Kane spam decks. Is that deck going to still be good after the new set? I don't know, but it's worth kind of just
Remains to be seen.
if you have foils with this, just kind of set them aside because someone will probably want them when it comes out. New Benedicta, we're kind of getting some more of our dominance and icons. Just kind of confirming that we should be getting definitely more of them than just the Ramu and the because we'd only seen 2 icons this set, I believe. This was our first card that actually
So
has
far,
priming.
yeah.
Um, for what it's worth, I think this is kind of just a side grade to the old one. Like it is neat that like it's the same cost to play this in Prime into Garuda, and it has a condition to gain haste, which works with the old one. Again, we need to see what the new Garuda does as well if we get one. But like, I feel like the 2 conditions are similar enough to be annoying, where it's like either on damage 3 or on having an icon. So it's like the first one isn't going to have haste, but the second and third will. Like, is that better than damage 3 haste? I'm not sure. I think otherwise it's probably a better card, but like if you're really trying to like, use this as like a stabilizing play, this Benedicta not having haste when the other one would against an aggro deck, I think is going to cost you games if you're playing a wind
Yeah.
priming deck.
So my sort of thought process on this Benedicta compared to the old one is the old Benedicta is more defensively inclined, whereas this one is more aggressively inclined. You're going to want to be attacking more with this one. You're going to want to have like the Garuda in like or like any sort of icon in Exile, which spoiler alert is going to be a little bit easier to do, but we'll get to that. Um,
I do
but
think
that's
that
sort of
like Benedicta Garuda, I think still is suspect for play at any given moment. Like they're very good cards.
agreed. Completely agreed. And the fact that this refunds you the two wind backups that you could use to prime into the Garuda is huge game as well. Like this could be an angle to get into a new direction for wind, which is always exciting. Like wind, you mentioned it before. Wind is unbelievably parasitic within itself, and it's sort of like its own internal sort of deal. Having another thing that wind can do is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Um, Definitely an interesting card. Just want to keep an eye on. Like I said, I do think it's like I said, it's better than the other Benedicta. um, Outside of maybe the situation where you're being run down and need to use the Benedicta as a stabilizing play. We
Yeah.
have a new Jesse got color shifted into Lightning, and I will say this is a card that Lightning has been begging for, or specifically Ice Lightning has been begging for this card.
Oh, this is so important.
Uh,
All of the Category 7 stuff has moved into Lightning and it's moved away from Earth. And having this Jesse in Lightning now, so important. Like, I can't understate how important this is.
I mean, more so, even just like all of the bad guys in FF7 are in Ice and Lightning, and there just
Mhm.
wasn't synergies for that. Like, if you're doing the good guy stuff, sure, the old Earth Jesse was great, and the old, Sid Highwind obviously is an absurd, Final Fantasy card, but this gives you that in a different element, and now all of your Rufuses, all of your Rudes and Renos, like this is the best Turks card printed since like Sung probably.
Yeah. It's
uh,
not just that as well. Like, the new Sephiroth absolutely loves this
Yeah,
card. Like,
new, yep.
search Sephiroth, play it, exile this Jesse, draw two cards, play a new Jesse, search another Sephiroth, have the special lined up. Mwah. Purest chef's kiss.
This like soldiers as well, maybe not having to go into Earth as much now. Like
Hmm.
that could be like another alternative angle for that. So you can play like the Lightning Angeal instead of the Fire one, and you don't have like that's a totally reasonable thing to consider now. Like it's just FF7 is such a big category with so many different things you can do that every card that searches category 7 forwards is immediately suspect for play. And these 3 CP backups that search for a category are always good. Like they always are.
Yeah. It's just putting him into the right elements. And I think this was the same thing with the Sid Polendina moving from wind to earth. Like that was the right move for category 4. This is the right move for category 7, moving it from
Uh,
earth to lightning.
I will say though, they had to use the Dissidia art for this. They couldn't use the really really good art from like 3 sets ago. Like that
That's
backup is stone unplayable, and then we get
that
the
is Yeah, it's purely to spite you specifically.
uh, we got My Spoiler. I talk about it a lot in its own video. I think this card is not bad. It's better than I think it was on first read, but I don't know if it's going to see a lot of play, but figured it would be
Yeah,
worth bringing up here.
this is yeah, that was my card where I was initially just really down on it, but then after like thinking about it in conversations, I was like, okay, this is probably like the second best of the monster cycle this set.
It's a pretty weak set of monsters, honestly. I think Sea Lion's the only one that like is like really truly interesting for most things, but I think that Marlboro's like not far off.
It's like ancestral recall cycle, right? You got ancestral recall, then you've got dark ritual and lightning bolt, and then
Uh,
just the rest.
I was gonna say more so the Caracas cycle, where it's like I think Caracas
Oh,
is the one that's like the really broken one. The other one, not quite to that degree, obviously, but like the others of the cycle are not very good.
yeah.
We got two new Chocobo support cards in Billy and Chloe. This deck might be real.
Oh yeah. Like this is starting to get a lot more terrifying now that we've got three dedicated Chocobo support cards in the one set. And they don't care about job, like they care about job and name rather than just name. So
I could not like 3K power is a lot.
It's like this is basically Stone Leonis, right? Like this is Stone Leonis
Yeah,
for specifically for chickens. Once again, like
dude, the so in
why did they print
Yu-Gi-Oh,
this card?
in Yu-Gi-Oh, the Egyptian god cards in the anime had like all these like extra bonus effects that made them too strong and so broken. And what they've done over time is they've printed those out into other cards and support cards for those archetypes. They're kind of like breaking out Stern into like individual pieces. Here's Stern's power boost. Here is kind of Stern's cost reduction for
Yep.
Chocobos again. These are really good. Like again, that some of the some Chocobos are not far off being playable. Like Billy can also play backups from the deck as well. Like a 5 cost that plays a backup is it's not ideal, but it's it's not bad.
But it also gets the Chloe specifically as well. Like that's
Yeah,
huge game.
and Chloe is like I said, activating one. This is an Iris, and if you've ever seen me play Retainer Storm, you know how disgusting Iris can be.
Yep.
Um, she's only once per turn, but she doesn't sack to protect things. And if Chloe's in play, there's like some big chocobos. um, like
Yeah.
there's one that's like a 5K, but like it's a 9K if you like have the same forward in play. Um,
Yeah.
I will
Just the
say
fact that chickens get big now, like what?
the rarity on these cards might be a problem for limited.
Oh yeah.
Because Chocobo and Straight Chocobo were also at common. And
Yep.
Billy getting the 3 cost Chocobo, having it swing in, and then immediately potentially drawing a card back as a 10K is that's maybe not something they should have put at this low rarity.
Uh,
Especially if you spike the Barts in draft and you just pick up every Chocobo that gets passed your way and every copy of Billy that gets passed your way, you might just run away with it.
yeah. This is basically the MBM of this, I think, almost.
I will say I this deck is going to be very weird to build because the Fat Chocobo backup is so all encompassing and so powerful, and it only works with specifically card name Chocobo. So it can't even
Yeah.
pick itself up. And but these are not card name Chocobo, and Stray Chocobo is not card name Chocobo, and Bart's is not card name Chocobo, and it's like, how many of these can you run in that deck? Does Chocobos as a deck exist without the 4 cost? Do you play the 5 cost Legend Fat Chocobo instead now? Like,
I
are there
think you
enough?
do, actually, to be honest.
Like draw 5, like draw 4, draw 5 is so like it's good enough to make like a deck that has one forward name in it playable. Like it's very interesting. I don't know if these are going to be good enough on their own because I think the quality of Chocobos is so bad outside of Fat Chocobo and a couple of the support cards. But the density of Chocobos you got to play is still rough.
I think having access to the like the power buff here from Billy, like the 3K power buff really turns things on its head. Like the Opus 1 Chocobo with haste, like the 3 CP 4K that gets buffed from party. Imagine if that forward is now a 3 CP 7K with haste. Like that's on par with pretty much anything in modern Final Fantasy nowadays.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, there's some possibility here for the first time for Chocobos. It feels like.
Yeah. I'm also terrified about 1 CP 6Ks, but we'll get to that.
Uh, we got a new Sid Highwind. When Sid Highwind enters the field, you can play a Cat 7 forward to 4 or less from your hand, and then when you play a Cat 7 forward, you draw a card. Only trigger once per turn. This card's interesting. The name is a little bit rough, but if you're not in wind, it's not really a loss. You're not really fighting Sid Highwind for anything else. And it's kind of a 1 CP forward that is a card advantage engine if it can stick around. And it's a 9K. It's not going to be easy to remove. What deck is playing this? What deck is looking for this? I don't really know. It's really interesting with like the Crystal FF7 support from last set. Like this can play the Cloud and draw a card, make a Crystal. Like Cloud will get back a card from the break zone, and this will draw you a card. And then like because you got the card back in the break zone, next turn you have a forward to play that'll also trigger this at Highwind again. Light Aerith with this is like this becomes a 1 CP forward in a way, and like you get to establish the Aerith to maybe protect it if the Aerith can stick. Um, yeah, it's there's something here, but it is very expensive, especially because you have to have the Cat 7 forward in your hand as well. And it's kind of an A
Yeah.
plus B combo that also now can't be set up by a single win backup that, might have if this card had a different name.
Yeah, it's one of those cards I feel like this is like first of all, this is such a weird effect to have in fire, right? It's just like, play free thing and draw a card in fire. Like that's the first thing.
Fire's
It
had a
also
couple of these though, because it has like the Xenos that plays a 4 cost character forward from your hand. Like it's not that uncommon for Fire to do free play of forwards, but card draw in Fire like this is definitely different.
Yeah. The other thing that I can think of is if we're looking for something that's like a direct comparison, right? 7 CP 9K that plays something for free and draws a card, that kind of just reads like Gigawall to me at the moment. And does this do things better than Gigawall does? It remains to be seen. I'm not gonna say this card sucks. It's not Gigawall, or this card's incredible. It's just like Gigawall. Like, it remains to be seen what this card will be capable of, and like the build directions and stuff like that. But reminding me of a card that does something on a similar vein to Gigawall is, you know, and the crazy thing is, like, this isn't an entering the field due to cast or anything like that either. You can flicker this
No,
and
it's
get the
it's
effect.
definitely a good thing to pod into. Like if you can like pod the 6 cost Barret into this, that would be definitely very strong. I will say the other comparison that you could make that's not Gigawall. I think Gigawall is very generous to this, unfortunately. The other
Mm.
comparison you can make is Dark Fina LB. That's a 9 cost LB, which is kind of like a 7 cost forward from the main deck, and that's not a great comparison, unfortunately. But like, I think this is better. Like, this can kind of feed itself with like the way that forwards play. Like, casting a summon doesn't get you more summons
Yeah,
as well.
like Dark Fiend isn't a card that actively wins the game off of its free play stuff. This potentially can.
Yeah, we'll see where this one ends up. I do think it's interesting, if nothing else. Definitely worthy of the hero label. Is it going to see play? I don't know. I just think there's got to be an FF7 slop deck somewhere that's broken.
So the main thing that I can sort of think about for this card as well, like like the previous set Tifa kind of feels like a card that didn't necessarily have something to support it. This might be that card. This might be the card that supports it. So
I talk with
you
Travis.
never
I think
know.
that Tifa is a card that someday will see play and be good, and probably will be expensive when she does, given that it's a Tifa legend. So it's
Yeah,
like a three
in
dollar
full art.
legend right now. You might as well, if you don't have a playset of that card in non foil and you intend to play this game for the next 2 years, I might get a playset of that card
Yeah,
if I were you. But yeah, no,
I don't
I
know.
think this is it's definitely interesting. We got a new Joshua. It's more expensive to prime than the previous ones, but it does have like a less conditional removal spell. I just think anything that primes is probably suspect for play, but I don't think this is one of the best Joshuas by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this one's second place out of the three. Like the legend is obviously unbelievably powerful.
But like the 1 cost is
This
so much
one,
cheaper and allows you to kind of do weird tricks with running fewer copies of Phoenix, for instance. So it's
uh,
like you
yeah,
like I don't love this one outside of like maybe limited, but like again, it
I
still
think
is
in
worth
limited this
considering.
is actually really powerful in limited. So
It's okay. A 4 cost horror that does 7k on entry is like fine. New wall. This is the fire one. The 9k brave job samurai could matter. Samurais get to accidentally make crystals a fair bit anyway, and this one also again
mhm.
play a fire forward of cost 4. Like they do print that on fire cards. Soul was another one actually that did that. Um, is this what samurais are missing? I don't think so, and I don't think that this really is what I would be looking at for Maya, just given that fire lightning is such a rough color combination.
Yeah,
But
like I don't think fire as an element is really missing this card either. Like
I will say though, we talk about Marsh being an absurd card. Marsh turns a crystal into 4 CP. This also turns a crystal into 4 CP, which is different too. Now,
yeah,
granted, Marsh is
like
a 3
in a
cost.
different
Yeah.
method, but yeah,
Like, that is something to keep in mind, though. Like, the crystal ratio on this is very, very good.
yeah,
Um,
uh, it's something to worth considering. But yeah.
New
I like
RNA,
this card though.
yeah, very simple. Just break a forward of less than the number of lightning characters you control. We've seen even the Legend Idea from Opus 2 as recently as like Opus 21, and
Hmm.
it's like also being a Dragoon. Like the name's a little rough for Dragoons. I feel like both, and like it's also just rough for Lightning in general because I feel like both RNAs are really good that we would consider before this, the Opus 15 and the Opus 18 starter. But
Yeah,
I mean, four cost
I think
break
this is
almost
still
anything
a hell of a
is,
card. Yeah,
yeah, like it's
like
not
if you're not a
exciting,
Dragoon
but
deck.
it's definitely interesting enough to be considered. Ultimate Weapon Origin. This is mostly notable because this is card name Astos. So when your two cost Astos dies, you get to play this from the deck, which absolute flavor win, by the way. And it's kind of got like a weird pseudo brave type situation on it, where it's like it gets to activate once per turn.
And then it's also got a 2K cleave ability, which like this is very much an ice card that reads not like an ice card. Like this
Yeah,
is I feel like this is such a wind card, but it's in ice specifically because Astos is also in ice. Like that's the only reason I can think of, but everything else reads wind to me.
yeah. I do think. I think that the ice, the old Astos, if you're in a crystal deck, is actually a really funny thing to be able to tag into. But like a
Yeah.
two cost forward that tags into a four cost 9K super brave is it's interesting. I don't know if this is good enough, but I think the Astos is a good card. So this is probably worth considering, just regardless that you have something to end your chain on. This is a card that's a lot would be a lot stronger in a game like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, though. Like drawing two cards a turn makes it much more likely to draw this before you have all three of your Astoses die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like you never know, but it definitely reads really quite interesting. Then we've got our final card of the week, which is actually these two summons, the Medine and the Arc. We knew the Medine was coming, and we expected the Arc to be coming, but I really quite like both of these cards, to be honest.
So
Like I
they
know you're not particularly high on Medine, but I
Well,
love
we'll,
both of
we'll
these
talk about it
cards.
a little bit first. The three cost summon for Medine, it just breaks a forward. Arc, five cost does 2K to or 8K to two different forwards, but they both have a kicker where if you search for a forward of their element or remove it from the game, they do something extra. Which, in Medine's case, it removes the forward from the game, and in Arc's case, it just breaks the two forwards. And yeah, I don't know what to think on these in some ways. I really think the arc is the more interesting of the two. I think five to break two
Hmm.
forwards is actually a really good rate. And dark forwards have more synergy with this type of effect in general. I think especially thanks to Sephiroth existing,
Yep.
is the big synergy that kind of is the really interesting one. I think that like a lightning control deck with Sephiroth could easily run the dark Sephiroth and this arc as like a really powerful thing to do with that. I don't love the Medine though. I'm gonna be honest. I think that like Medine has an upside of can't be canceled, but like there's two summon cancels in the game that are relevant. It's Ashtola and Miss Dragon, neither of which I think are really going to care that much about this. The only other one I guess is Ject Block. This is a three cost answer to Ject Block that Ject can't deal with himself. But like this
Yeah.
doesn't like it doesn't get around non-targeting. Like if your opponent if something can't be chosen by a summons, Medine doesn't stop that. And like the rate is okay, but like every element has a three cost summon that's not light just about that should break a forward. And like if that's the
Yeah.
case, then like it like remove it from the game as an upside, but then we're playing a light forward and it's like are we playing the light Citra? And if we're playing a light forward in this, the one cost Medine is still a really interesting card when you have LBs to enable it as well. And that's a summon that actually likes light LBs in a way that like the nine cost arc doesn't. So I just don't feel like there's that much upside to this Medine over the previous Medine that we have,
Yeah.
unless
I,
uh
I
unless you
I
really are
understand the
scared of Gull
thought.
Wings.
Yeah, I understand the thought process about like why you're not particularly a bigger fan of the Medine. My sort of thought process is, first of all, the fact that it can't be cancelled. I know that isn't a great deal of summon cancelling, but the fact that this is going to resolve unless they protect the card at instant speed from summons is actually quite massive. Because then it's sort of future proofed for the rest of the game, right? Like if there's any cards that come out and like say there's like all of a sudden there's a two CP summon that comes out and that just cancels like any summon. Like it's basically like a jacked block summon, right? This gets around that, and also like the fact that yeah, like the kicker cost to remove a light forward from the game. You know what happens to be actually a pretty good light forward that wants to be removed from the game? That'd be Bahamut 16,
But I
because then
don't think so
that's
though, because like I know that the logic is like then you can use the special with Clive, but like you really like Clive is probably going to be able to spit flare anyway, and like spit flare is killing most anything that like the Giga Flare is going to.
yeah, I understand that, but we're talking about synergies with this, like with this specific card. That happens to be one of them. Like another one is also with the two cost lightning from this past set as well, right? If that gets removed from the game from anywhere, then you could pay the extra 4 CP to remove another thing. And yeah, like it doesn't seem particularly exciting, but if you think about it from the perspective of 7 CP exile 2 forwards, that's a pretty decent rate from my sort of perspective. But I will happily admit that the Arc is the better card by
Yeah,
far and away.
I think Arc is definitely better. I don't like again to me the Bahamut stuff for Medine, like I think it would help because like if we don't get a new Dion this set that's outside of light, the third Dion is a really bad card usually
Yeah.
because you've probably drawn one of your Bahamuts before you draw your third Dion. And this is like a way of maybe using the Dion that's not just a 3 cost 8K Brave Idiot. But
Yeah.
I'm not playing 9 light cards for Dion Bahamut. There's no world you're going to get me to do that. And not for a 3 cost summon to like kind of kick it on occasion. I think the baseline
Yeah.
is like it's okay, but again, like for a light card, I remember looking at the light Fusoya from a couple sets ago, and like that card is a 2 cost backup that kills anything. And like sure, there's other costs to that, but like those same costs exist for Medine for me. So
Yeah.
it's not a card that I think I'm interested in, but maybe because like it also I think it doesn't need the light forward. Like I think the 3 cost that doesn't can't be canceled and break something is maybe just playable enough, and maybe you just happen to have a light forward for the situation where it matters. But I do think the arc is yeah 5 cost break 2 forwards on a summon is probably the best rate on a summon to kill 2 things in the game.
Yeah.
And thanks to
And there's a better card that you want to actually actively get out of your deck in exile anyway, which is the like any Dark Sephiroth. It doesn't have to be the Opus 11 or one. It could be like any of the Dark Sephiroths that are in the history of the game,
well
because that makes the new Sephiroth better.
there's only 2 of them. It's the Opus 11 one, the Opus 1 one, and next set, not Opus
And
29,
the
but
promo
Opus
one.
30. Promo. Oh well, yeah, but
The very first promo.
I guess I might sleeve that up if I need to. I'm still trying to source some copies of the Dark Legend for this card in particular, but yeah, I it's good. Is it worth between 4 and 6 dark slots? Good. That's where I'm not quite as sure.
Yeah, it's like a sort of decision basis. Like it depends on what you could synergize with it. I will say, this arc is probably one of the best Rydia cards to cast at 6 counters, because like you think about what you had access to before. Like we talked about the new Bahamut coming, um, and you got Levy 6 and you got Remora, right? This arc means I'm spending 0 CP to kill 2 things.
Yeah, I mean it's a
That's
plus
very
one
exciting.
on a summon, which we have not had very many of those in a while. It feels like
Yeah.
so.
Like it's a way for Rydia to kill 2 things.
Yeah. No, like I said, plus ones on summons. We don't have enough of those right now, and Arc is one, so I'm happy to see that. So we'll see if that changes things moving forward for the card at all. I yeah, I love the art on both of these as well. So like Yuya Ishihara's knocked it out of the park with the FF9 summon arts that he's been doing.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I've actually had a couple of people asking me like, when did Final Fantasy IX have Gundam in it? And it's just like, well, it's always been there. It's just
yeah, it's
kind of
we
difficult to find.
yeah they always have a weird final summon in Final Fantasy games. Arc is that for FF9 if you're not familiar. So Jared has always put together this like spoiler sheet where he kind of allows us to kind of compile, and we can see, okay, we know that there's 36 full arts. We've seen half of them only. We can see how many legends we've seen. And it kind of breaks it down. Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. This feels like the set we've seen the least of before release out of any of the sets in the history of the game, or at least in recent memory.
Yeah, I think that is actually the case. Yeah, like we've barely seen anything out of the set, which I'll be honest, that is an exciting prospect from my sort of perspective because it means that like because of Opus 28 where the spoilers just every single week we were getting like half a dozen spoilers and it's just like okay, every like we were seeing this we pretty much saw like 75% of the set before the set dropped, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that problem with this set, and I think that's really exciting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is funny seeing how it's broken down as well. It feels like all the content creator spoilers this time were basically rares and heroes. We
Mm.
don't know anything about the standard unit backups this set whatsoever, which is really strange. Water we've seen 30% of right now, but we've seen all of the heroes and like we've seen one water common. Like none of water's heroes whatsoever. We've only seen one summon in the entire set. For the hero, like for the non dark and light dark, I guess. But like
Yeah.
we know we should be getting a summon in every element. We've only seen the
Mhm.
fire one. Uh, 6 legends still to be revealed as well is wild. Like I think like last set it was like just Prish. I think was the only one we didn't know before.
It
I
was
think
Prish and Rosa, I believe.
Rosa
We
as
didn't
well.
know
That's right. Yeah.
we didn't know the effects of those two, but again, that sort of speaks to that set and how much of it was revealed as quickly as it was. Like, I genuinely like that there hasn't been a great deal of the set revealed because it generates excitement. It generates, okay, like what are we expecting to see? What do we want to see? And all that sort of stuff, which is a topic that we're just about to get into,
I
actually.
was gonna
So
say so a couple things looking at this real quick. I do think one of each of those commons is going to be the Crystal Gen backups again. This is the set they should come in for L3, unfortunately. So you could probably knock one off of each of those common slots, unfortunately. But that's still a lot to be revealed. What do you want to see? Like, what if you we've kind of seen the set. We've got some FF7. We've got some FFTA2 by the looks of it. Some FF16
hmm.
support, a bit of FF9 in there with the Quina and the Zidane. What are you
Yeah,
looking
and
for? Like what elements are you most excited to see the full set reveals for?
so from my like there's three things that I'm thinking of, right? The first thing is I'm very much a water player. I love playing water cards. Most of my success has been from water cards. So um like that's probably the first thing that I can think of is like I want to see something like and this is going to be like sort of a repeat run on thing. I want to see something exciting and interesting coming from water. Like Sea Lion already is one of those cards that just makes me really, really excited to play Border because it's like, oh, now I have a monster that could search for any of my important low cost forwards. Mwah, spectacular. Um, as far that's the first thing that I can think of. It's like let me see what all the water cards are and let me see what interesting things that I can do with water. The second thing is I want to see more of the icons. So obviously with Benedicta, there's a reasonable chance that we're going to get a Garuda. Um, there's a reasonable chance that we're going to see a Hugo and a Titan. And there's potential to see
Actually,
some of the other ones as well. So
something interesting by the way. We've seen
mhm.
all of the Earth rares. We have not seen a Hugo.
Yeah, so maybe Hugo is one of the heroes.
Yeah,
Like,
and
who
also if
knows?
you look at Lightning, we've seen all of the rares, and we haven't seen our Sidolphus yet.
Yeah, which again, it could be one of the heroes. So it's going to
That's
be kind of exciting to see what they sort of bring from like the icon and dominant perspective because when they were originally revealed in Opus 24, they were among the most exciting cards. Like obviously Clive Freet were basically like hard carried everything that was doing with Jill and Shiva being a bit of an extension of that. But when they revealed them again in Opus 26, I was like, there was a lot of really exciting and interesting things that came from that. And this is just another opportunity to create more exciting and interesting bits and pieces from the rest of the icons and dominance, right? Like, what if Garuda's the other wind legend, and all of a sudden it's just like the most unbelievably cracked card? Like, what if Hugo and Titan are hero and legend rarity respectively? That's just another one of those things. It's like these cards excite me because we know that they're coming. We're expecting to see the new Bahamut. Like we're expecting the Bahamut 16 to be the light legend, right? Because the Odin is the dark legend. That's really interesting and exciting. Like I
I mean,
want
I'm
to
almost
see
more
what this card
excited
does.
as far as Odin and Bahamut. I'm almost more excited to see a Barnabas and a Dion that aren't light and dark potentially. I think that could be really something for those cards in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like going back to sort of like the original priming, like Clive and Freet, there's a reasonable chance that they will be in this set because we see Joshua, Jill and Shiva. There's a reasonable chance they'll be in the set because we know that Torgal references a Jill. Um, like just those sort of like FF16 cards. Like I know you're not necessarily the biggest fan of priming because you always seem to draw the targets for it, but it's just one of those things. Like I think that's something that's interesting and exciting and forces people to think from a different deck building axis, right? Like that's one of the things that genuinely excites me about Final Fantasy TCG as a game, right? People are encouraged to think of something new until it gets broken, and then people cry, and then it gets banned out of the format, like haha, realm chaos, blah blah blah. But it's just one of those sorts of things. Like it's exciting to think about things from like a new perspective and a new axis, and that brings me on to the third thing that I really want to see is cards that just do something different. Like let me do something from a different angle, a different perspective, a different axis. Like the new Tidus is going to be something that's actually kind of interesting because it allows you like it's basically like Blitz Ace Tidus without needing the special. That was a really cool card for its time, and now they're bringing it back. Like that's cool. The new Sephiroth, that's like card draw in lightning. Like where the hell did that come from? Like that's something that's new and interesting and exciting from my perspective. And that's all I'm asking for. Like, let me do something new. Let me do something cool.
Yeah, I mean, for my part, I'm curious what we're going to be getting, and especially wind. Like I said, I'm always a wind Andy. I really want to see it. Wind and earth, especially like earth. I feel like has just got such a shallow pool of good cards at this point. Like I was like looking through like earth summons, and it's like Kusith and Mistdragon are incredible, and everything else is. Whew, they ask a lot of you for some not great effects on some of those cards.
Absolute dog water.
It's like it's almost as a card that like I remember reading the first time. Like this card is it's okay, but like I feel like it's interactable in ways that you don't want your removal spells to be interactable on. And it's like I have sleeved that card up more than I ever thought I should have been sleeving up in Earth Summon or sleeving that card up. Um, Looking at Wind, there is one rare slot left. I actually think that they're going to shift Civ Clan Gully into Wind, which is both exciting and horrifying at the same time.
hmm
Um, the sheer lack of commons is strange, especially for backups. It feels like commons are where backups tend to thrive. We've seen no standard unit. We don't even know what game the standard units are for. I'm assuming Tactics Advanced too, but like I don't know what we have art for standard units to this set. Like we have to have backups for limited. We're always going to get one cycle of standard unit backups at minimum.
At least, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
like
sometimes it's two.
we don't have anything about the summons this set at all. There's not like a very obvious gimmick for the summons of like, hey, you can cast this for free or you can reduce the cost by doing this. It's like no, the only summon we've seen is one thing, it's Bahamut where they're trying to do something kind of big and flashy and powerful for a hero, and I think Bahamut doesn't hit the mark properly. But like that's a big swing for a summon in a way that I don't think they've taken in a while, right? It feels like a lot of their summon design has been very safe lately because of cards like Ico LB and cards like Rydia, and maybe they're finally like letting loose a little bit. I will say I'm a little bit less excited for water. It feels like they're kind of just like water's been too good for too long, and they're kind of putting it in the same bucket that ice was in, from like Opus 9 to Opus 14, where they just like did not want to print good ice cards. I feel like we're probably in a similar spot with water right now. If you look at the Legends the last couple of sets, they're like, I think some of them are fine. I think like the Emperor is a card that like could see play eventually, but like Sin obviously just will never be very good.
Yeah,
Um,
Sin is garbage. I agree.
Rosa is not as good as she reads. Like very safe card for what
Mm.
Rosa is. The summons in water have been very very mediocre. The 5 cost Leviathan. Like what is that card meant to enable? Like ever? Like let's like be for real. Um,
I think one of the things they've got with water summons in particular is because the Opus 1 Una is still around, they've kind of got this sort of unitax idea on all water summons. So it's
but
like it's either a 1 CP summon that doesn't do a lot, or it's a summon that does a fair amount, but it's priced way too high because Una can quote unquote make it cheaper.
yeah, but like I don't know. I think that like they could have printed like even like Alexander. I don't think they tried to put a unitax on that card in a way, but like that was just like last set summons just felt so safe. Because like they were worried about the crystal cost and the fact that you could cheat both modes in the cards, and it's like, man, I if I got both modes, last set summons, if they did not have the crystal kicker on them, I still don't think they would have seen play. Much more
Despite
play
the
than
fact that you were excited about a few of them.
yeah. Like the more I play with them, I've never seen a cycle of summons feel worse and worse and worse the more I played with them. If that Sylph was
Yeah.
just choose a forward, it can't be chosen by abilities, draw a card. That card still I don't think would be great. If there was like a like the Brynhildr, I think is like one of the cards that's fallen the most for me in my estimation. That card I think is bad, like just outright bad. Shiva is, I think, close, but I think it's worse than Madius in most situations. And Madius has the burst. Cactuar, I think, is unplayable. Alexander is unplayable. So it's like, I think Bahamut Sin has a chance in the future if like free casting summons becomes a thing. But like, you know, I I I think those summons were overly safe, and I feel like the Bahamut is them taking a big swing on a summon again. I don't think we're gonna get a Namat this set, but like maybe we will get something that we didn't expect to see out of summons this set. Um, but man, my God, like if we go, I mean, like
It'll be interesting to see, really. Like the part, I will agree. The past few cycles of summons have sort of been a little bit weird. Like, and the crazy thing is, they've all been
they've all
hero
been
rarity as
heroes.
well.
Like I almost would
Like,
prefer if they were lower rarity for limited if they're going to be this bad. Like look at these last water summons, by the way. Like holy shit, man! Like this card is awful. This card is like worse than this or Opus 21, and this didn't see play.
yeah,
Um,
I know a couple of people have been talking about that fanfrit as well. It's just like, oh, can't we run this fanfrit as sort of like a way to cancel an auto ability and like punish them for doing it? I'm just like, it doesn't cancel the auto. It
no,
just kills the forward that it's attached to. It's just, oh no, that's bad. That's
uh,
really bad. Yeah, it
it,
is really bad.
it's the Ramu basically that like has the EX burst deal 8k to a forward that entered this turn is basically what this card is.
Yeah.
Same cost, and it's like look, this Leviathan is just like why can you not bounce your own? I guess because they don't want you to be able to free bounce your own shit. But like the fact there's
That
no
I could sort of
utility to it.
justify.
But there's no utility on this card, and it's not better than any other Leviathan in print. The
Well,
Siren
it's
is
also, yeah, like that the fact that that Leviathan is a 3 CP summon that bounces something when you've got the Opus 1 Leviathan that is a 3 CP summon that bounces something and has a burst on it. It's just like, come on, guys,
uh,
really?
like like at least like the Opus 19 one has the decency to like put the like can't be replayed clause on it. No, the upside on this one is it can bounce a monster, and it's like that's just not interesting or good.
Yeah.
Like this Leviathan's great, but like this Leviathan, like they couldn't slap EX on this Leviathan. Like
I think that Leviathan is actually pretty cute though. Like the fact that it's like draw a card from your damage zone. Like it is sort of one of those one of those sort of strange
It's
cards, but
it's close, but
I've
like again, if this had EX in the corner, it would see play.
I do feel feel like it's just one of those it's a card that's close, right? The same with the Leviathan that's right beside it. That feels like a card that is close. I will say Anima
I
is
mean, Anima and Unicorn,
a top tier summon.
but like this is like going back 2 years now. If Anima
Yeah.
is of just none of these summons outside of Leviathan, I think are worth playing in
Yeah.
water.
But even when you go back a little bit further, like the
Well, I mean,
unicorn is the only other summon that is relatively recent that you could sort of justify. Like have a look at the recent cycle of summons, right?
yeah.
So the Ifrit is interesting, but it's not good enough. The Moomba
I mean, like the
is
Ifrit, I think is
actually
good enough, but like it doesn't do anything unique outside of the burst. It's like you'll play it if you're playing Ifrits. Moomba is just Kujata reskinned for Cat 8, basically. Like these do the same thing.
yeah,
Chaos Walker is neat. Hashmal is neat, but like Hashmal is too expensive for what it is. And
yeah,
Chaos
agreed.
Walker is powerful, but like we haven't found a home for it yet. I think that like if Chocobos is a thing, this actually is really good on that deck. I think you need to want to
Yeah,
flicker backups for this card, and we just don't have a need to do that yet. And then Ramu, like the Ramus in print are awful. Like this is the best
yeah.
Ramu. And like this Leviathan is just like I don't understand this card.
So non-playable.
Um,
Then the previous one before that is, dull two active forwards to do the thing, and it's just like we were actually quite excited for a fair few of these. Like the Alexander seemed like it was really good,
I mean, I
but
will
then
say
we started playing
this.
it.
Well, no, the Alexander is okay, and the Titan is okay in this set, but like the Phoenix, I think is not great. And if people play this, oh, it could cheat Firewinds that ain't into play, and it's like cool, that's not that good, but okay, I run your 3 cost fire card to play your
Yeah,
bad 2 cost
like
thing.
the Odin is sort of a kind of a naff card as well. Like
I
it doesn't do anything different to what Odins do, but I guess it does, kill a limit break of cost 6 or less, right? That's killing Ash nowadays, but at the same time, it's just like I've got better things to do with both my CP and my forwards.
I mean, I think these 4 are okay, but like they're all removal spells effectively. Like these are like, but like if we go to the next set of
Yeah.
heroes though, it's like this whole cycle. What is Chocobo Chick ever supposed to do?
Nothing.
Like, it's
The
almost is
Ifrit is
fine.
definitely powerful, though. The Ifrit is definitely powerful.
Yeah, but like Madius like competes with Zalera. Like Atomos is like only playable because Earth summons are so bad. Like Famfrit is awful. Dremelec is okay, but like not that
I
good.
think the problem with the Dramalek, from my perspective, is 7K isn't enough.
Yeah,
Like if it was 8K, it'd be spectacular.
the set
This
before like it was okay, but like I don't think Salamander's ever really seen that much play. Just because the 5 backups to get the kicker on this is so much.
Yeah, it's always worth pointing out 5 cost Bahamut's as well, though,
Yeah,
because
I mean this card's neat. Like
Kai's, you like that
Zalera,
Solera.
Zalera and Madius are really good. I don't
Uh,
understand this Valifor like this at all.
I
This
actually quite like this Valifor, but I don't think it's like it was playable for the time, but
I
I don't
don't
think
think
it's
it was.
particularly good. My personal perspective.
Yeah, I just like paying X as an additional cost. Like you're gonna gamble, you're gonna find Lulu with this on the top 7. Like if you could pay on resolution when you see the card, maybe, but like they don't have a mechanism to do that in the game. So it's like either your deck is really low curve or you're just gambling. Like the top 7 cards of my deck will have this card that I want. I hope.
Yeah.
Wingwraith is like kind of meant to help enable Belgamine, but like not very well. Um,
Like
I
the rest of the summons in both cycles are not particularly good. I will admit that. Like the Kusith, what's that card doing? The
saw.
Fenrir
Uh,
is kind of just like
I mean, the Fender is close. I don't think it's that far off. The Kusith, that's seen a little bit of experimentation, but like it's not great. Valagamanda is
Valak.
like it's a clean kill on most anything, but like it is still. We talk about like I don't want to pay 3 to kill something. This is 4 to kill something.
Yeah, at the
Um,
very least, Valak Amanda definitely says that card is going away in 3 different ways.
yeah. Like
uh, Odin
Mopes.
is. Odin is too expensive for what it does. And
Yeah.
then Siren just does nothing. And Leviathan is a fine card, but I'm not necessarily excited to put it into a sleeve. Um, Going back again, like the Cat Ryan Bahamut is really interesting. Like I understand where they were going with that card, but it kind of just is there. Shiva, like EX
It's
burst Doll Freeze
close.
is
Like,
fine.
it prevents you from taking damage. It's kind of like an Amat from a damage based board wipe, but like, it's not great. The Caesura is. It reads decent, but like this not being attached to a body like Miwa is just so much worse.
Yeah.
Um, it is cute. Like the lore on this is that it counters Leviathan because that's her husband, but um, like Golem, like this Odin, I guess is good, but like you know,
The Odin has seen consistent play since its release.
I don't know. Like this whole set as well, outside of Anima, has seen is just awful. Like Anima's the only playable card here. Like, and this is 2 years of summons, 2 full years, and I think that the hit rate on summons is like 1 in 5, 1 in 8 almost. It feels like it's
It's like
really bad.
one per element each time, right? That's just
Yeah,
like
in 2 years we've gotten one playable summon per element. It feels. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And like none in wind, almost none in earth. I think like ice has gotten like
they've
the
sort of been it was sort of been distributed between fire, ice, and lightning,
and
right?
like the fire ones. Like don't get me wrong, like Ifrit and Ifrit are nice. This Bahamut's like really neat and cool, but like they're kind of like pretty mild upgrades because like if a fire kill spell is always going to be costed against this Bahamut, it feels like, and
Yeah,
like these are not strictly better than that in a way that makes you like not consider that card. And like that's what they're going for, but it means that these cards aren't different. The fire summon lineup hasn't changed meaningfully in 2 years. Ice, I think, is the one that's changed the most because again, Medius and Zalera and I think even like Kujata, like I think the Crystal Shiva is like close to playable, and
well,
like this
the
is
Mateus FFTA is what like one of the first ones that comes to mind when it's something different and interesting.
yeah, it's an EX burst that draws a card in Ice. That's like legitimately that's what Ice
Yeah,
really needed and didn't have access to at all. Like I don't know. Like I look at these cards and I just go like, why are these heroes? Like for instance, and again, like you can cheat the cost on these, but again, if this was 2 cost, do all of these modes. I'm playing this card instead.
yeah,
Like
easily,
it's
like
got
so
it
easily.
has a burst, it does the same amount of damage, and it draws a card. I think the draw a card is a bigger upside than kill a monster, even if that card did both without the crystal kicker.
Yeah, like it's and then if you have a look back at like some of the other like we discussed it in our fire video. The fire summons don't do anything particularly interesting. They do a lot of burn damage, and that's pretty much it.
Like the best other thing it does is occasionally you'll get haste and first strike, like from Belias. Actually, I didn't realize this Belias doesn't even give haste, by the way. But like
Yeah, it's a combat trick that happens to potentially kill something as
fire
well.
is like you get a mott, a couple of combat tricks, and removal,
And
and
it's burn, 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 and burn.
yeah, and it's like we've got like a couple of like minor variations. Again, like this one is like RFG instead. But like a lot of them will say like, "Hey, when it dies this turn, remove it from the game," as well. And it's
Yeah,
like, I don't know. Like again, I'm not saying these are worse cards or not worth printing, but like the difference between this Ifrit and this Bahamut is not very much. And this Bahamut still sees play because again, the utility of being 1 CP cheaper on your turn than this card is, and the RFG, and the can't be reduced. So like it just gets through
yeah.
anything. Like this
It
10k,
is a card that says that's going away. Like
yeah.
that's all you want.
I don't know. It's something like I want to see them push the envelope. And again, I don't think this Bahamut's great. It feels like there's a couple of guardrails on it, but this is the biggest swing they've taken with summons in a while, and especially like the other way to look at this as well. We just
Is the high cost summons.
we
It's
just
just
don't
like
get expensive summons very often. Like look at this. It was 2 years before they printed a summon that cost 6 or more. 2 full years, and this doesn't cost 9. This costs 3. The 9 is a
The
downside on this
Eden,
card.
yeah, the Eden doesn't cost 8.
Yeah.
It costs like potentially 0. The Leviathan can cost 4, but you're not ever playing that card, so you don't care.
But like,
The Fat Chocobo doesn't technically cost 8 either. But yeah, it's just like
like why
give us something to be excited for.
why are we casting summons for free with a 4 cost and a 6 cost forward when the summons don't cost 6? Like,
Yeah,
there's so much work to make these two cards work. I love these cards. These are some of my favorite cards in the entire game. The best thing they can do is still cast the damn Opus 19 Arc, which is a card I can still cast for free with other means. Give me something cool. Give me something broken. Maybe go, oh wow, that's a really neat thing. Let me load my deck with summons so that Ico might work. Both these Ico, like, these are
yeah,
some, like, I love these cards. This Ico summon of cost 7. Do you know how few 7 cost summons are in the game?
yeah. They're called Odin.
It's like
That's pretty much
Odin.
it.
There's the Zeromus the Condemner, and there's like Opus 3 Phoenix.
Yeah,
Dark Fina. Like, Dark Fina is a card that, like, I don't know how much play she'd be seeing otherwise, but like, she would be seeing a lot more if we had any summons worth cheating into as a cast off of her. Like, she's
yeah.
held back by the fact that they don't print expensive summons anymore. So that's what I want to see. I want to see some summons that are neat and interesting, and I do think that Bahamut is the closest we've seen to that in a long time.
Yeah, like that sort of just like extends on to like my point about, give us something exciting, give us something interesting, give us something like let us attack from a different axis. I think the Bahamut is a step in the right direction in attacking from a different axis, because it's like this is a summon that actually deals direct damage to the opponent. How many of those are there? I don't think there's any others.
All right, I'm gonna leave it with this. For a non-legend, what's the card you're most excited about in the set?
From what we've seen so far,
Yeah, for a card that is not a legend.
for a card that is not a legend.
Because I think that, like, Toto, Zidane, like the legends are pretty easy to say. Like, these are really like powerful.
Yeah. So if I'm thinking about a common that I'm kind of excited for so far, I think that is that Tyro a common?
Tyro's a common.
Yeah, like that's probably the first card that I can think of that gets me really excited about building a deck in that direction, because the Tyro is like it does more than what it says on the tin in this specific case, because yeah, it's just a color shifted Madam M, but the fact that it goes into an element that has desperately wanted this sort of effect is gigantic. Like that's
Yep.
just massive game. If I'm thinking about a rare that I'm excited for, it's definitely Sea Lion. Sea Lion is just like Sea Lion is just a phenomenal card. Like I don't care what anybody else says. Like people could just be like, "Oh, but it's a terrible monster." But it's not though, is it? It's a 4 CP monster that doesn't just draw you a card. It draws you the card that you need in that situation. Like let me just go find Witch of the Fence. Let me go find Lena and, put Lena into it. And it's not color fixed either. Like I could find any 3 costs or less to do like, and there's so many powerful 3 cost or less forwards
Yep.
in the game. Like Sea Lion is just like top of the food chain for me at the moment. As far as heroes go, I've got 2 in mind. The first one is Arc, because it's like it's one of those things where it's a summon that enables other things to get better. And the second one is Adele, because holy crap, that card is terrifying.
Yeah, I think that I have some pretty similar opinions. I think that Mai is also a card that I think is really slept on. I think she enables a lot of unique kind of fun stuff. The
So
Zazats and the
one
Keldra.
common, one rare, one hero for you.
All right, I'll go different for all of them. I'll say Mai for common, rare, Jesse, and then for hero, I'm going to say the Bard. So I think enables the most, the biggest change potentially for us. But we'll have to see when the full set comes out on Tuesday. But I think that's going to be it
Hmm.
for us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
We'll see you on the flip side.